What is going on?
Yo, YouTube back with another live. Are we ever going to end this thing? Are people going to get tired of hearing from us?
I don't
You
know.
think?
That's a great question.
Yeah. Do you get tired of hearing from me?
Me?
Yeah.
We hardly even talk anymore compared to how often
No.
we used to talk.
Well, no, you used to have all these questions, and now you know what you're doing, so you don't need me anymore.
I don't know about that. I don't know if I would say I know what I'm doing.
Well, yeah.
I do
it's
things.
It's not, yeah. One of the best parts and the worst parts about stuff like this is there is no guideline. Like, you just have to do your thing. And let's share with everybody what we did talk about yesterday. You messaged me and you said, dude, I looked at your basketball sales and they're weird. And I'm like, what the hell does that mean? At first I was like, is he telling me that I'm doing it wrong and I'm not listing the right cards? And I'm like,
Oh,
but wait, that can't be right because there's sales. If there's sales, you're doing it right. If you get a sale for a profit, whatever you did, it was right.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So we've talked about this in the past, probably a couple months where I started giving away a lot of my ideas or early concepts, and I've stopped doing some of that. I don't do as many sales day videos and stuff like that. And not that I don't want to share and I don't want to help others, but it's a pretty competitive market, and you have to have your things that you do. Now, this is, as you found out, this is all public posts. Like, you can go in and look at what I sold. So it's,
Yeah.
If anybody really wants to do that research, you can do that. But yeah, I have my big players, as we talk about regularly, Jordan and Shaq and, all those ones that everybody else has. I found a really cool Carmelo Anthony card today where he's going up and Kobe's going up for a block.
Okay. Yeah.
So I looked at that as a Carmelo Anthony and Kobe Bryant card because, yep, Kobe bumps the sale price. So you got to look for stuff like that. Anyway, sidetrack. But I have my little list of players that I really don't share because I kind of cornered the sales on them a tad, as you found out. Now everybody's going to go look and it won't matter, but yeah, so it's kind of interesting that you were like, hey, I noticed you do, and you look at bows, you said too. I thought that was interesting.
Yeah, there's a few stores I go out and I cross-reference when I do my liquidity list. So I start with just pure eBay data, and I go through about 5 pages of sales usually on eBay data to see if there's some new names that I haven't seen pop up before that maybe I need to trend them. But then I bounce sales data off a couple stores too. And what I'm looking for is those outliers, those emerging players that I need to add to my list and start keeping an eye on to see what their sales are doing.
You know what's funny? Though? If you look at the list of my players, none of them are emerging. I don't go by the trend, not for that stuff anyway.
Yeah, that's why I said your basketball sales are so weird in the sense of they're very unique. Like, if you're the only one in the U.S. or the U.S. eBay site that sold that player this week, that's pretty unique and weird. Like, what made someone go to your store and pick that out?
Well, and some of it's luck of the draw. You got to find somebody who's looking for it, or maybe it was just a common, but you happen to run into somebody who needed one for their set, or it's their uncle, and they're buying. And we talk about this all the time, like buying no name autos. Well, everybody's got a mother, and a grandmother, and a sister, and a cousin, and So it's. I just thought it was interesting that you kind of saw that because I don't talk about that stuff much, kind of on purpose.
And I think it's really cool. Like, when I do the same thing with my sales. So whatever players I sell for the week, I make sure they're represented in my overall research list. Not necessarily, a lot of them don't hit the top 10 or the top 20, but I want them in my research list to see, okay, am I the only one selling them, or are there lots of people selling them where they're going to be climbing up? And I think it's really cool when I look one up and I'm one of only one or two people all week that sold that card. And I'm like, that's awesome. Like Joe Anderson of the Seattle Supersonics in 1989. I'm like, dude, me and maybe one other dude sold a card of his that week. That makes it very exclusive, and it's just really cool. It makes you be like, how did I do it? Like, and to your point, it's luck of the draw a lot of times.
A little bit. And I think a lot of it is just the balance, right? Like you can't just list Joe Smith cards. You got to have some Jordan, you got to have some Shaq, you got to have some Kobe, you got to have you're just sticking to the basketball theme here. Because you're not going to be able to get enough. You sell 2 or 3 $1.99 cards, great, but helps round out your sales day, especially if you can get them for a penny or two. You don't really have anything vested in it other than listing time.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I think that's fun. And somebody had pointed out in the Discord too about your liquidity list video, and they had sold a Lewis Gill, and I'm like, man, we were talking about that like 3 weeks ago. I had I had sold an auto and a bunch. So it's like, liquidity list is great. I enjoy it, and I love the data, but I think we should just kind of mention too that this isn't like these are the guys you should go out and buy. Right. These are the guys that are selling.
Right.
Those are two different motivations. And I understand that's not what you're telling anybody to do. I think you're more saying, hey, if you got these in a box, put these suckers up,
Yeah.
Or this, if you don't have them promoted, throw them on a promotion, or check your prices on these. Maybe you can get more for them right now.
Yep.
Because they're more liquid, that kind of thing. But I just don't want anybody to misconstrue it and say, oh, this is what I should be buying. I'm always get kind of leery about the like top 5 lists and top 10 lists because of that,
Yeah.
And I kind of do the same thing. I don't data dive as far as you do, but I look at that Sports Investor app, the top 50. I check that once or twice a day.
Yeah.
Just to kind of see who's selling, especially in sports that I don't pay much attention to, like hockey. Whenever I get hockey stuff, I got to go somewhere to look at that. I don't really know what I'm looking for. I mentioned this in some prior videos too. I look at that especially before I go to a show. Because if you got, some baseball player just got called up last night and his Bowman sales were going nuts and stuff. The pitcher, I think, for Padres or something. Anyway, Bo was talking about him this morning. But yeah, I think it's smart to at least know what is flippable. And if you can catch a dealer who maybe didn't find that out yet, and you can still get a fair price on it, you can maybe buy into it. But
generally, that's a little bit. I do think it can help you when you're buying, but not exclusively. Like, I'm not saying go out and just buy these guys as much as you can. What I am saying is, if you're going through a box, and a lot of times we find ourselves pausing and thinking, oh, is there a market for this guy or not? Should I take a chance? What am I going to pay for it if I'm going to take a chance? The players in the liquidity list, in my opinion, are guys you don't have to think about.
Right.
Like, if you're getting it at a good price, hey, I'm not going to get stuck with this. Take it,
And that's a good point, because you're not talking about a specific card either. You're talking about a player who is selling volume. It's volume. It's not like, oh, hey, one sale went for. There's a Jordan card that just broke the basketball record this week. It was a 101 auto. That doesn't mean that you're going to be able to sell every Jordan for a record price. Like that's what I mean. That's a statement based on a single card.
Right.
Yeah, I think it's really interesting. It's good stuff to follow, and data is never a bad thing. I like facts. I like numbers. I like actual proof, other than what normally is on the internet.
Yeah.
And in Facebook groups and all this stuff, you really got to watch where you get some of that information from. We spend a lot of time on here trying to be very transparent and sharing what we're doing, but also, to kind of, hey, keep an eye out, this might not be right for you, or you might have missed the boat on this one or something. because I think that's important. You know, we don't want everybody to jump on board on something that's already kind of fast.
Yeah, actually, yesterday when I did the basketball one, I actually took a minute to do kind of a disclaimer about, listen, this is what I am saying, and this is what I am not saying. And then I was running through my mind, I was going to do like a Micro Machines guy disclaimer to play on each one and speed it up.
Nice. That'd have been pretty funny. A lot of times when I'm making videos, I have all these great ideas for like editing and putting stuff in and doing like Max Headroom type stuff. I always kind of wanted to do. But good Lord, it just takes so long, and just the editing, and you got to match the music to it, and you got to, you might have to refilm stuff. And I do not get paid for a movie career. Maybe at some point that would be something that.
Well, you never will with that mindset.
Right. No, it's funny you mention that, because I started watching a channel that and this isn't sports cards, but it's kind of down the same line. But it's a channel that started about 3 months ago, and they're up to like 70-some thousand viewers, which is quite a bit of growth in 3 months.
Right.
The channel's called Toy Federation, and it's this guy that owns basically like a vintage toy shop, and he buys, basically guys our age have all this crap in their attic now, right? And they bring in these boxes of GI Joes, and what he does is he completes them. So there's always parts missing and guns and stuff like that. So he has like this warehouse of like just tons of the same piece, but maybe it's missing turrets here. It's got, something like that. But anyway, so they started doing like a live vlog thing where at like after hours at the shop kind of thing, right? So it's like these guys at the table, and they kind of talk about what they did that day, collections that were brought in that they bought, and what they sold. And the owner was kind of talking about, in this last one, he was talking about how when they just decided to do the YouTube channel, he's like, I didn't want nothing to do with it, like as far as like operating it, right? So he's like, I just went out and hired somebody that I thought, that was a decent price that could just film and edit stuff and pump these things out, because he's like, I got enough to do all day long. I don't want to hold a camera. I don't want to do any of that. And then I just kind of let him produce and direct. He'll tell me, hey, stop over here. I got to do a little interview with you on this piece, or what you think you're going to offer this guy. To have those kind of like Pawn Star style, right? Like you'll talk to the person, off to the side. Why are you selling your collection? Blah, blah, blah. They do bits like that. And I thought about that. I'm like, well, maybe that's the direction you really need to take, is just, if you're going to do it, go right into it, pay somebody, and get all your videos done correctly and regularly. But I also don't have a shop. I don't have random stuff coming in and out. I think that film format really works for something like that. It obviously has worked for Pawn Stars for numbers of years.
Right.
Because you just have some Comic Book Men. You ever watch Comic Book Men? Great show about Kevin Smith's comic book shop in New Jersey. Just all the random stuff that shows up in there, and so I think it's great for that. And I'm like, I don't really, even if I hired a videographer, what the hell would I have them film all?
Right.
You'd have to have enough work for them. So essentially, basically card shows would be hugely beneficial. But you'd basically just be hiring like a wedding photographer every once in a while, sort of thing, to come in and film your show stuff and maybe do edits or something. But and now editing down the road is no big deal, because there are a lot of, you can hire, like Fiverr has a lot of editing and stuff like that. So if you get to the point where you're like, okay, I get enough out of this, I can pay somebody to just do the editing. You can still just film everything and just slop it, send all the files over to somebody, and they'll put it together and make it shiny. But actually having someone film, that's a bit more of an undertaking if it's not necessary. Now, I wish I could just like film what I'm doing all day long every day. That'd be awesome. Great video, lots of content. But it's boring as hell. Like, who the hell's gonna want to watch me like list cards all?
Yeah.
It's bad enough I make 2-hour videos showing you a box of cards. To see me all day printing labels and doing whatever else, I don't think that would really get the job done. Certainly wouldn't need a videographer for that.
It's funny you mentioned hiring someone to do that, because when I was at the Oak Creek show on Saturday. The whole family went down because I was going to visit my sister who lives nearby. And my wife goes, but she's not really into cards per se.
Right.
Although she did pick up this sweet Johnny Cash King of Hearts card for me.
Oh, that's dope.
A literal playing card.
Right.
But so because I knew that she would kind of be bored for a lot of the day, I said, well, could you do me a favor and just walk around and take some random footage of the card show that I can just, cut into my pickups video when I do it.
Yep.
So that's what she did. She gave me like 5 video files of different rooms at the card show. Because you said you've been there before. Speaking of the Oak Creek Card Show, that is like a labyrinth in that place. There's like 5 or 6 different rooms that are only connected by hallways. And at one point, I don't think I even hit a couple rooms. I was like, what, was I in there or not?
Yeah, and for those who don't know this place, it's basically a boys and girls club. And so there's like classroom type area, there's a gym, there's like a cafeteria area, and it's grown big enough that they kind of table out. Think of like the Madison show, right? Where you've got like 2 different ballrooms and a conference room, and there's stuff in the hallway. This one has kind of gotten there too. One of the things I wish with shows that have these multiple rooms is I wish they would kind of theme them out a little bit, right? So like the guys who are all selling Pokemon, put them in that room. All the guys and girls, all the people that are selling, like value boxes, stick them in one area. Like, I don't know, it would be kind of
yeah.
If you're big enough, you should be kind of able to, set people up so that they make sense. Yeah. Because otherwise, it's you're really just walking around taking a shot at stuff. Now, I'm fortunate because when I go down to Madison, Bo always helps me out, and he'll be like, "Hey, I got to take you over to this dealer," and he's been really kind to kind of, he knows what I want, and he kind of gets me there when he's not set up, of course.
Yeah.
But I don't have anybody like that at Oak Creek. I just kind of wandered around and ran into whatever I could run into.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that show. I picked some stuff up. I ran into a table of a guy with 2 high school boys, and it was the first time ever doing a dollar box, and I killed it in that box. There was good stuff in there. I picked up a Jason Dominguez Creature from the Deep refractor. God, I love those cards. They're so amazing. And that was right when he was, he had just gotten called up. So, I mean, it was great. Yeah. That was a great buy for a buck. That's the card that sticks out to me out of that buy. But anyway, but there were so many tables that I tried to shop at that I couldn't. The prices were too high, and the cards that were in like 50-cent boxes were like commons and stuff, and I don't know. I struggled there. I found that $1 box. I did find a non-sport dealer that I've bought from before, so I knew who he was, and I kind of know what he has. So
yeah,
I was able to squeeze some stuff out of that. A few dime box sellers that had early to mid 2000s cards, which are one of my favorites because they're so low printed.
Yeah.
And I like the players from that era too. So I was able to sort of, get a few hundred cards out of the day that way. But yeah, it was not by far my biggest home run.
Yeah, it's funny we're talking about the organization too, because we're talking about it from the buyer's perspective. I'm sure sellers would have a different perspective, but
yeah.
I think I told you I struggled at this show as well. In fact, I was about ready to write it off as a bomb. Like I got some WWE stuff I don't really see around here as much, but I had to pay up a little bit for it. And then I spent a lot of time at this dealer's table who had a dime box and 50-cent box and a couple other things going on that I thought, okay, there's some possibility there. But then I got the old when I handed them 300-400 cards, I got the old, well, I can give you $2 off. These are all heavily discounted already. And I was like,
yeah.
That is not going to work for me. So we went back and forth with some pretty intense emotional negotiations on his part. Like he was wearing his emotions on his sleeve, just disgusted. And eventually he went with a number I could deal with. But I was ready to just leave the cards and walk away. But that's the point where I was like, man, this show is kind of a bomb. Adam told me he struggled getting good deals here. It was priced kind of high. So I think I'm seeing the same thing. And then I started working my way towards the exits. I'm like, okay, it was actually in the gym where I was going to go out because the rest of my family was out in the car already. They're like, we had enough. We're going to go wait in the car. So I walked in the gym, and the first table I stopped at had some quarter boxes. And that's when I had the opportunity to buy out this small table of a couple boxes. And that kind of saved the day for me. Without that buy, I would have came home saying, yeah, that was not a great stop. I still don't know if I would go back to that show, to be perfectly honest. I don't know if it's worth my time to drive down there if I'm going to pay up for things, Yeah,
it's about 2.5 hours away. The parking there is not good. It does cost $1 to get in, which is funny because we don't ever have admission to shows in that I ever go to around here. So, I mean, not that $1 is make it or break it. And it goes to I was just going to clarify that it goes to the place that helps the kids with the after school programs and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, I kind of didn't have the greatest experience there either. Now, that brings up, kind of one of the topics we wanted to touch on, and that was buying out tables, something that you and I are not in a big practice of, and yet here we are. I had a pretty big one a couple of weeks ago. You had a good sized one this past weekend. Why do you think that is?
Because sales are down for the dealers too, probably, and they're trying to make up for it by pushing some volume.
That's what I'm thinking too. They're maybe got some boxes they've been sitting on, brought to a few shows, and they haven't moved enough stuff out of it, and they want to let those go. More collections have become available as people need money, so they've been buying them, but they don't really want the low end. They just wanted the bigger cards. So I have a feeling that that's something that we could see some more opportunity in. When a market is down, that's when you want to buy. That sounds easier sometimes than what it really is, because if everything's down, chances are your money's down too. You're selling less, or you're making less money, or your expenses are higher, whatever it is. You have to squeeze yourself a little bit, to be able to do those buys, in some situations. But yeah, I think that could play to our advantage at the National, especially, you're thinking like Sunday afternoon type buys. Some of the dealers struggle at that show.
Yeah.
I'm a little surprised, and we'll talk about this morning too, but I'm a little surprised the VIP pass hasn't sold out yet.
Yeah.
Last few years, now Chicago is probably the best location for this show. So it's a little difficult to compare Cleveland to Chicago, I'm sure, but last year at this time, everything was sold out. So other than like regular day-to-day tickets. So yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see if attendance is down a little bit, how it goes. I don't know.
Yeah.
Now that being said, shows around here are doing great. Like they have great attendance.
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So I don't think that, I just think there's a little bit of downtrend due to some other factors outside of cards.
Yeah.
And we'll see. We'll see if that gives us some opportunities. I bought 35,000 cards. I don't have to buy another card at a show for months if I don't want to.
And that was my mindset. Jenny's like, why did you buy 2 boxes of cards? And I said, because if I don't want to, I don't have to stand over a bunch of quarter boxes at the next couple of shows looking at everything. I can go in very targeted, knowing I've got a ton of stock of baseball, football, stuff like that I don't have to worry about for a while.
It also allows you to drop your prices. I like being the top, comp prices, but I don't necessarily have to be if I'm getting the cards for a penny or 2 cents.
Right.
So,
right.
A lot of this stuff I can just throw out there at, buck and a half, $1.99, whatever. And it's basically after expenses, it's pure profit. So,
Right. Right.
um, and hopefully get some more multiples and things like that. I haven't maxed out my listings. This should get me pretty close to it, but um, I still think that it's worth it to
Yeah.
have that at your fingertips whenever you want. And I got the scanner right now, so I've been running that thing pretty good. And actually, I'm out of listings now. I just finished right before the show
Okay.
for the month.
Mine just
So
reset.
it's on to the shiny stuff. Yeah, mine doesn't reset till the 24th, so it kind of works out perfect.
Yeah, our timing for a swap this weekend is perfect.
Timing for a swap, yep. And honestly, I could use some of the desk space. I'm kind of happy to get it out of here. I use that corner sometimes for my working stacks, so
Yeah.
that'll be nice. But
I'll tell you, I think one of my boys got a nice deal. I see Max is on tonight, our resident Pokemon expert. So glad to see him out there. But I was actually jealous of a card one of my boys picked up. The table with all the Star Wars Chrome I was asking you about when I was there. They also had a couple copies of an ancient Mewtwo, I think it was.
okay,
And it was an incredible looking card. So one of my boys picked one of those up, and to me that was like the best card I saw all day. Like it's
yeah.
how sometimes you just look at a card and you're like, damn, that's sharp.
A lot of times, I buy based on that, even if the name isn't great. If the card looks nice or it's a nice insert, things like that. I sold a really nice Antonio McDyess card this week. Speaking of random weird
I
basketball names,
saw that one. I looked him
and
up.
yeah, where he's like standing on the island in the middle of the ocean, and there's like the shore on the other side, and it's shiny and refractory. It's just a dope looking card. And like, I don't care if it's Antonio McDyess. No, to be fair, I got that in one of my boxes, so I paid 1 to 2 cents for it. I don't think I'd grab it out of a dollar box or anything, but a
Yeah.
quarter box I might have. Yeah, it's a '90s insert. He was a decent player. It's really cool looking. Don't remember the brand. I don't think it was Fleer Metal. I have to look, but anyway, yeah, I think that I think there's going to be, kind of bring this back around to our box buys. I think we're going to see some of those opportunities to pick up that inventory. Where for a while there, we were running into some shows where it was like, man, everything's so overpriced, can't buy anything. I think at the right dealers and the right shows and the right scenarios, there's going to be some good bulk opportunities. And with this buy, and if I buy what I think I'm going to buy at the National, I'm going to have to go to shows for the rest of the year. You just take my weekends off.
Or you can be very targeted when you go to a show. Maybe
right,
you go
yes.
see if there's some non-sport, or hey, I could use some hockey. I'm gonna go see if there's some hockey there.
I think honestly, what I would probably target is more mid-end. I'd probably look into more of the $2 and $5 boxes, because I don't have a lot of that in boxes I paid a penny for. So kind of have my $1.99s and my $2.99s and some of my $3 and $4.99s in those boxes. I mean, there's probably a few gems in there that are bigger than that, but not many.
Yeah.
And then start buying the $2 to $5 ones that you can get 10 to 15 bucks for, and use the shows to do that. It's not as high pressure to get there before open. It's not as much time digging. You don't have to come away with as much quantity, stuff like that.
Right.
And you usually can add some liquidity if the price is a little bit higher too. Those cards will sell a little faster than some of the $1.50 stuff. So
sure,
that's kind of where I think we land right now. But yeah, it's funny, and you're like, hey, look what I bought, and I'm like, Charlie following the leader.
There was no intent in my mind.
Oh, I know.
I like thumbed through two cards, and I recognized the guy. He comes to the Green Bay shows as well, and he just threw out there, hey, $50 a box, either one if you want it. And I said, well, I might take you up on that, but let me look between the two boxes to see if there's one box I like better than the other. And then I ended up getting both, and I actually reached in my pocket and I said, well, I don't have $100 in my pocket. Here's what I got. Will you take it? And he said, fine, I don't want to carry them out.
And those were 2-row boxes, right?
No, they're 4-row, I believe.
4-row?
4-row, yep.
Okay, so you paid $80 for both?
For both, yeah.
Yeah, so you paid about penny a card.
Penny and a half, I figure, yeah.
You figure, yeah. Yeah,
it's not chocked full. Like you could still fit some cards, but there's no noticeable gaps in it either.
Right. Well, and some cards are going to be worth more than others anyway, so it doesn't really matter.
Yeah, that's true.
Worst case scenario, it's dime box fodder,
yeah, and there is some of that. Like, so here's one of them. You can see it's pretty full. They're both the same.
Yeah. Well, that's a 5-row.
Oh, that is a 5-row. Look at that.
Yeah. And you did a little better than you thought.
I'll take it.
Yeah, it seemed, you sent me some photos. It seemed like there's some decent stuff in there. You're gonna, whenever you do a buy like that, you're not gonna be able to sell every single card.
No.
No. Or maybe you could, but it might take you 15 years.
Right.
So, stock your store, keep it growing, and as the stuff sells, fine. Then do another couple of box buys down the road, and do it that way. So.
And I still don't even know totally what's in there. Like, I've only been able to skim it a little bit. I looked through it enough to say, did I do all right, or did I just take a bath? And I saw enough to say, okay, I did all right on it.
Yeah, well, even the box itself is worth like $10.
Yeah, $7 at least.
Yeah. Most of mine were sleeved. I mean, that's a penny a piece right there.
Yeah.
Even if you just used them, I have stacks and stacks of sleeves from stuff that I've, de-sleeved and scanned and bagged already. So, some added value there. But I think it'll be interesting going forward to see if more and more of those deals pop up. I also think that people watch our show, and they know what we do. So I think, and because I kind of had the same thing happen that you did. I was digging through a box and the dealer was like, "Hey, you want them all?"
Yeah.
Because he knows this is what I do. And I think he thought, hey, here's a guy that's, putting capital into this thing. I bet I can get all the money out of him and get this done. So,
yeah. Well, I don't think that was the case with me. I don't think people recognize me the way they do you. You're YouTube famous. I'm just YouTube adjacent.
And the dealers in our area, I mean, they probably watch the show and stuff. So, good number of them.
Past your bedtime already?
I don't think so. I even slept in a little bit this morning.
Well, you're tired, and we're 33 minutes in. We should probably jump to the chat pretty soon.
I would think that'd be a good thing. Let's see here. We've got Bill is here. He says, "What's up?" Bill knows. Sports Section Plus is here. Hey, yo.
Yo.
How have your sales been this week? Mine has been great this week so far. Well, I'm glad to hear that, Troy. I almost called you Tony for some reason.
Because they're great.
Yeah, sales have been kind of weird. Like the past probably week and a half or so. I'll have like a down day and then a really high day and then a more down day and then so. I had pretty good consistency since like December. Really good sales, fairly consistently across the board, and I've had like a couple of jumpers. So don't know why that is. So, some of it might be, certain days of the week do better than others. I always do better on weekends.
Right.
Yeah, it depends on who your customers are to some degree too. I haven't added a bunch of Jeter stuff recently, and I have a lot of Jeter buyers, so I might have to pick up another load of that. Now, my sales today, this is the best day I had since last Thursday. So, kind of odd that the 2 days are a Tuesday and a Thursday. Normally not my hot sales days.
No,
so
that is.
It's fairly, it can be fairly unpredictable. I think your best bet when you're tracking that stuff is if you track it, if you care about it. Um, I have to because I have to pay a mortgage, but um, I think the best thing is to look at averages, right? So that you take your weird anomalies out of your. I had my lowest sales day since I've been full time on the 29th, on May 29th, for no apparent reason. Just a really low sales day. So, I mean that's going to happen. Now this time of year traditionally is not that great for sports cards, because we don't have the hype of baseball is kind of past, other than a few players that pop here and there. Um, unless you're talking vintage, I mean, there's outliers. I get it, but traditionally the market has a little less activity now. It's not that people don't want cards or hobbies. There's other stuff. People are up north four wheeling, and they're
Yeah.
going on vacations, and kids are done with school, and there's graduations, and sports. All these sports that are going on right now in the summer, and there's just focuses elsewhere. People aren't buying their cards right now. They'll get back to it, when it gets back towards that September time, August, September time, when there's football hype. So yeah, I think that this is, but again, I always look at it as, if I don't have a great sales day, that's not necessarily bad, because then I can do other things that
Yeah.
I can't do if the sales are big, because you have to work with the sales, or a lot of inquiries, or a lot of offers, or whatever. Those things take your time. I'm able to pound some listings. Like I said, luckily I got those 7 boxes. So I've got plenty of work to do, no matter what.
Yeah.
Um, I did the box 3 video today, and it's pretty much all football, and oh my god, it's awesome. I love all of it in there. Lots of mid-90s inserts and die cut stuff, and
Nice.
almost all big name players, Marino, Elway, stuff like that. And if it's not big name players, they're generally rookies. Bunch of Ryan Leaf rookies. I love Ryan Leaf cards. I'll take those any day of the week. So yeah, good stuff. Good stuff. And I really want to take some time. Granted, a lot of those are current players. There's current players in there. A lot of numbered cards. I really want to get a lot of that on before the football hype.
Yeah.
So this is a good time for me to, maybe have a down sales day or two where I can use most of the day to
Load
list
up.
stuff.
Well,
Yeah.
yeah,
So
my sales are pretty good this week. It's continue to see some growth. Like, I'm always kind of focused on my average daily sales, and they
mhm.
just slowly climb up, and that's what I'm looking for, slow, steady growth, right?
And I think that you kind of hit the nail on the head there too, because like if I go from 42,000 listings to 43,000 listings, it doesn't move the needle much.
Right.
If you go from 4,000 listings to 5,000 listings, you're going to see more. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think Troy's in a spot right there where he's starting to get those listing numbers up higher, and he's getting more sales results from that as well. So
Yeah.
because
I
it's
also
harder to jump a bigger percentage the higher you get.
Yeah, I also want to take a minute and give a big thanks to Troy. I'm pretty sure it was Troy who brought up my liquidity lists during one of Bo's shows, and then Bo kind of talked about them for 5-10 minutes, and
Oh,
it led to a lot of new subs, a lot of new views, getting me one step closer to someday monetizing anything I put out on YouTube. So thank you, Troy, for the mention in another show to get me a little more visibility.
well, that's pretty awesome. Yeah, good
Yeah.
job. Yeah, I think you're gonna, continue to see some interest in those. If you keep it going. I think over time, if there isn't enough changes in the names, that's going to be what's going to make the videos harder.
Yeah.
If there isn't new content.
Yeah, I'm trying to figure out what's the right time frame to do it. Is weekly not going to see enough change? Is monthly too long? Maybe it's bi-weekly. So I'm trying to feel that process out right now.
Yeah, I think that's kind of what what I was pointing out. I mean, I love it. I think you should definitely continue the videos, but I kind of, from my experience, I sort of hit the same thing. I was doing like my sales day every day, and after a while, it was just kind of like, okay, here's the Jeter cards I sold. Here's the Sports Illustrated for Kids
Right.
cards I sold. Um, you know, and you can kind of, I don't know, wash yourself out with it after a while, I guess, is
Right.
the right way to put it.
Right.
Especially if you're doing it daily. You know, I think if you do it, no, you're not doing every sport daily, so that helps. And I like your production. I like the fire with the
Yeah.
girl reading the numbers and all that. You know, it makes it fun. It adds some extra entertainment value because that still matters in the end. You know, when you're making data videos or, you know,
Gotta
informational
liven it up
videos.
somehow.
Yeah, because it's still people watching it on, you know, on their own time or whatever, that you still want them to be engaged,
Right.
and have some fun with it. So yeah, it's good stuff. How many subs are you at?
81, I believe.
Okay,
Yeah.
yeah, it's not bad growth. You've had what, 3 months, 4 months, something like that, or maybe
Something
longer.
like that. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, you're getting there. It takes that first 1,000 is just a super slow grind. It's so
I can see
annoying.
that. Yeah.
You know, and then you take all that time, put all that work in, you post a video, and you get like 8 views in a week or something. And
Yeah.
I don't know, that's tough. But yeah, you keep at it, and it'll keep going. It's funny because sometimes I'll get fatigued from it, or I'm just too busy with cards or whatever, doing whatever, and I won't make a video for like a week, and then I'll get a whole bunch of subs. I'm like, well,
Yeah.
what the heck? I didn't even make a video. So, um, yeah, as long as you have enough existing content out there, you can still actually get some growth and give yourself a break at some point, which is nice.
Yeah, and I try to explore the space a little bit and utilize some of the other methods of content out there. So I put a few shorts out now. I like to do some community posts to try some different forms of engagement too, because different people they respond to different types of content, right? So
Right, right.
I want to kind of mix it up a little bit.
Yeah, and you got to find your niche, and you don't want to just keep making the same videos somebody else makes. You know, that doesn't really benefit anybody. You know, how many liquidity list videos do you need, right? You know,
Yeah,
of the same day, you know.
yeah,
So I think it's great. You got a spot where you have something that's not really being offered, and that's really the key. And it's something you can continually make content of. You don't have to dig into the bag and recreate all the time. It's you
right.
have that right there, and then you just add in other stuff as you go, you know, to round out your channel. But yeah, awesome. MD says absolutely 100% absolutely not. Dealers don't want to be next to a similar dealer. Why not? I don't know. I that wouldn't bother me if I was next to a bunch of other dime box dealers, because then all the people who want to buy dime cards are over there. So I don't really, you know, they dig through that guy's boxes versus they'll still dig through my boxes and buy stuff. Maybe it's not the same with Pokemon. I might have that wrong, but yeah, I'd be interested to know why you wouldn't want to do that. Sports Section Plus had a blast with me and Adam. Went to Oak Creek show. This is Brian. Yeah, I didn't say I didn't have fun. I did have fun. It was just the buying experience was a little bit different. No, we were in a little bit bigger market. That's kind of the Milwaukee market, so that might be why prices are a little higher there. I don't know.
Yeah. Brian have a name change there? What was the name there? Sports Section Plus? That wasn't always a screen name, was
Sports
it?
Section Plus. No, it was. He had a couple
Cardboard
different
Critters,
ones.
was it?
Yeah, Cardboard Critters, and he was Batman cards or something like that before that. So
That's right. That's right.
yeah. Those of us who have been in cards for more than a few seconds know what summer brings for cards. Put some hay in the barn before you get there. Right, exactly. This is just kind of a down season. If you're seeing increases in sales, it's probably because you're doing something additional to get those numbers. Not that there's as many shoppers. Uh, let's see. VIP packages changed this year, so that's a big reason why. Took away one at least. I'm not sure what that means.
But was there
As
a
far as
different set of
yeah, as
tiers?
far as it took away one at least. I don't know. As far as I saw in the VIP package, it looked like pretty much the same stuff they've had every other year. I mean, maybe I missed something, but before you used to have to buy that like super VIP or ultra VIP or whatever the other one, the higher level one was, to get the parking pass. But now you get it with it this year. So I think they actually added value from that aspect. Let's see. Brian says he has no problem setting up next to a similar dealer. We're in this together. I get the competition to sell, but hey, it is what it is. Yeah, I mean, yeah, I guess I could see it both ways. I understand both sides to it. My dime boxes aren't really competing, you know. I mean, it's not like I'm selling the same card as the guy next to me, and he's got it for 95 and I got it for 100. I could see where that would get annoying, but
I
don't
also
think
get
that.
it to some extent. Like you're not going to want to put a fourth mattress store on the same block as three other ones, right? Like there's oversaturation that can occur. Now that's relative because we're at a card show and
Yeah.
you're saturated with 100 tables to begin with.
Well, and you're assuming that the one Pokemon dealer has the same cards as the other Pokemon dealer, and that's probably not the case either. You know, so if you have a Pokemon shopper, they might buy from your table because you actually have the cards they want. It doesn't matter if there's another Pokemon table next to you. So
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a plus and a minus to it, I suppose. I was speaking from the perspective of a buyer, not a dealer. So for me, I would like them to be in one area. It would be awesome. Here's all the soccer sellers. Here's all
But
that.
as a seller, I think I agree with Max. I think if I'm setting up a table, I'd like to be different from the tables around me, especially if it's, antechambers like the Oak Creek show. Like if I'm the only dime box seller in that room, that's A+ for me.
Yeah, that could be an advantage. I get it. I guess I'm thinking of it from the perspective of the customers being able to find you in a show like that too. You know.
Yeah, as a buyer,
I mean, if this is like all the value boxes, well, all those value box buyers will be there. You know, your customers are going to be able to find you easily. So, yeah, no right, no wrong on that one. I think and it would be a lot more work for the show organizers, so that's not going to happen. They're just going to put you at a table. Ancient Mew movie promo, nice cards for sure. Okay.
Yeah, and I let them do their own thing. They use TCG, and they said the comps on that were like $30. So I think they did all right.
What'd they pay for it?
18.
Okay. Half prices. Yeah, not bad.
Yeah.
60%, whatever. Dan is here. What up, all? Happy Wednesday. Dan just bought his VIP, so we have our tour guide for the show. So that's good to hear.
Yeah.
So congrats there. I'm excited to meet you in a little over a month. Good Lord. Davis Epling is here. He says, I went to a sports card shop and they had a 5 for $1. And I looked through so much cooler select Prism and Mosaic. I found most of 2020 rookies like T. Higgins, Justin Herbert. I can't lose. It's funny you mentioned T. Higgins. I sold a bunch of T. Higgins this past week for some reason. But yeah, I think I'm not sure if you're new doing this or not, Davis. But yeah, those are a lot of the types of cards you can find in quarter and 50-cent boxes if you're willing to dig them. Justin Herbert, I assume you don't mean rookies, because Justin Herbert color rookies will not likely be in a $5 for $1 box. But I found inserts and parallels, nice parallels and stuff like that of Herbert. So, especially in the off season, you can buy some of that stuff. After fees and shipping for a $1.49 card, I still make 40 cents. Yeah, that's about right. It's a little over $1 for expenses. Should be anyway. Maybe a tad more than that if you have promotions, things like that. But yeah, I don't really price anything at $1.49 anymore. I just don't want to. I don't want to deal with it because I do offers on stuff, and everything that I would have priced at $1.49, people offer me $1 for $1.25. I'm not going to sell it for $1.25. It's too slim, so it's not really worth selling. So I'm kind of moving on for that. And postage is going up next week or 2 weeks, I think. Another couple cents. So you're gonna have more coming out of that in the very near future.
What do we think it's going to be? 69 cents or something like that now?
Well, it's right now it's 64 cents, so I
Right.
think it's going to go to like our price is going to be 66, I think, and I think it's 70 or 71 cents for a real stamp. You know, like for a single postage. Yeah. Max's must have been something in the Wisconsin area about 150,000, 105,000 Pokemon cards last week.
Nice.
Halfway through them. Dang. Have a lot of Pokemon cards. Hopefully you got some good stuff, my man. Let's see. Wolfie Joe says, for whatever reason, Saturdays are bad sales day of the week for me lately. Typically, Fridays and Sundays are good. See, it really depends on what you're doing and who your customer base is and things like that. Um, I do probably, I would say Saturday's my best day a lot of weeks. Saturday or Sunday for sure. So, I don't know. I just had like 7 really nice sales since we started the show though. So I was just talking about how, it was a little bit slower this past week. I had my lowest day ever. Single day sales day since I was full time. Like a week ago, and now today, now with those numbers, this is the best day I've had in like 17 days. So it's super weird that it's the tail end, and then that's why I
Yeah.
said the averages really matter. I can't hang my hat on, I have to make this much today or I'm out of business kind of thing.
Agreed.
Um, you got to be able to float it around a little bit. And I did send a coupon out today. I'm guessing that made some impact. Spent a lot of the day listing today. That's the benefit to when on a day when you don't have as much to ship. So um, school's done, the kids home. I didn't really have any running around to do, so I was able to just kind of sit and pound some stuff out. I did try to burn some sticks. I live in the woods, so sticks are like an everyday thing. In the pit in the backyard, stuff's still too wet, so didn't get
You
it.
tried
Didn't get it.
today to burn it?
I did, yeah, like late this afternoon.
Wasn't it too
Um,
windy?
well, not where I live. I live in a tree It's a tree canopy. I don't get any wind back there hardly at all. Barely a
When that
breeze.
little storm went through, man, the winds picked up some pretty
Oh,
strong gusts.
yeah, and I did it before that. This was like 2 o'clock, maybe 1:30, 2 o'clock. Um, but I tried it. I took my grill lighter fluid back there and sprayed it down pretty good, and I thought I could get it. And it burned a bit, but it's just the wood's still wet, so I'm gonna have to wait
Yeah.
it. It doesn't get very wet back there because, like I said, the tree canopies. But if it rains, it rains. It's still, you're still gonna get some of it's still gonna get to the ground. So
Yep, for sure.
anyway, oh, and I pulled a tree out with my bare hands. An eight, yeah,
like a Charlie Brown tree?
I kid you not. No, it's like an 18-foot tree, like 17 or 18 feet.
Okay.
But it was dead. So I've discovered that the best way to find out if you have a tree that's dead is wait until all the leaves come in on the other trees. If that
Okay.
one don't get leaves, it's dead. We do have out here you got to have like a tree person, right? So we do have a tree person. We have them look. We basically do a tree review every 2 years. Essentially, is what it is. We have him come on. He'll go through and he'll be like, "Oh, that one, this one, we should limb some of that." They take all the sticks and crap off my roof and all that stuff. Well, anyway, it was this little dead tree, and he's like, "Well, it's not hurting anything. You just leave it there." And we have some landscaping that kind of goes around in a half moon on the top side by the bottom. It's the bottom of the hill, but it's before the fire pit, to try to give you some visualization to it. Anyway, it's growing right along that side. It's a nice straight tree. So I was standing. The reason I mentioned that is I was standing on that landscaping above that tree, and I'm like, I'm just going to lean on it and see if I can get it to move. And but if you expect a tree to have a lot of resistance, right? So I just kind of grabbed it and pushed, and just like the whole thing started going forward. And I'm like, I think I can rip this thing right out of the ground. So wife was out there, so I'm like, hey, can you just give me a hand with this, because I don't want it just to come crashing down on the fire pit or the fence or something like that. So she helped me over there, kind of lower it down casually and pick up the stump out of the roots and all that. And we did it. So I broke all the branches off, got them in the pit, and I just got to get the chainsaw out there to chop up the trunk. So anyway, total sidebar, but I thought it was pretty cool. because 2 weeks ago I moved a building by hand by picking it up and carrying it. My backyard shed, my
Yeah.
8x8 shed. That was an adventure. And then a couple days later, I took a tree out of the ground with my bare hands. I'm basically a lumberjack right now, so feeling pretty good about myself.
Nice. Now you're gonna be wearing flannels all the time.
Nope. Don't do that. I'm a t-shirt guy. You're welcome, Charlie. It was me. Troy acknowledges your
Troy?
thank you from earlier. Red Light 34 is here. He says, hello, guys. Hello to you. Yeah. You don't have to turn on the red light. Does everybody want to hear us sing? Is that something we should do?
That's what they
regularly?
tuned in for.
I think that's it. You know who else likes to sing?
Who?
Turn around. Shoot. Never heard anybody else wanting to be next to a similar dealer. First time for everything. Yeah, I don't really care. But I don't set up at shows to make money, and that's not a big one for me. So I don't have the same view of it as you do. A tier for the VIP package was taken away. Well, you would think that would make it sell out even faster, right? There's one less VIP you could even buy. You'd think the other
Depends
ones
on
would
what
sell
they
out
did
quicker.
with those perks. If they just did away with them, or they cascaded them down.
Well, yeah, that's true. I guess I don't know if tier means a totally separate ticket or if it's just if they took something away from VIP. I'm not sure. Not sure where or exact details. Andrew McGovern is here. To the both of you, which 3 sports card channels that you suggest watching who are real? Oh boy, that's a good question. We do talk about channels on here once in a while that we pay attention to, ones we kind of watch with a casual eye. I don't know. You want to start, Charlie? You got a channel that you would suggest?
Yeah. So it's funny you said 3 because there's probably only 3 that I have subscribed to and check out regularly. One, of course, is Adams. I like to see his pickups and his negotiations at. Yeah. This show is not too bad either. But
okay.
I also try to tune in to Bo once in a while. I can't. I don't get to watch him every day. But I like to listen to Bo's opinion on some things because it's a lot of times different than my own too.
You just like to hear him talk about taking out his garbage and his neighbor cutting his grass. But Bo's show's unique. His show's unique. You can say that for sure.
And then Sports Card Investor, I do look at once in a while. I know we don't need to give Jeff Wilson any more business over there. He's got enough, but I wouldn't really include that because you asked for which ones are real, and sometimes I think the production is more important than the content on that one.
Mm-hmm.
So my number 3 would actually be one I just started watching in the last month or so, and it's called DGen Rips, DGEN Rips. And he's got a fun little kind of 80s 8-bit production value in it. And he rips a lot of blasters and stuff. And what I like is at the end of it, one, his theme music talks about him going broke before he's done. And then he does a general accounting of each rip and usually shows that he's losing money on each one.
Mm-hmm. Which is probably about right.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'll go over my 3. Obviously, Bo as well. He is probably the closest thing to what we do. We all do our things our ways, but we're all still kind of operating in that same bucket. I like Bo, the really straight up dude. You don't have to worry about him feeding you a line of crap. I like that part of it. Probably my second one would be a show called Flipping Steve. I don't know if you've ever heard of him. Real straight shooter guy. He works in a casino, ironically enough, as his day job. But he does a lot of really cool cards. He does like music cards, and he sends them in for grading. So he's got like Pearl Jam stuff, and he keeps it pretty real too. He's like, well, now you could used to be able to just grade this stuff and flip it. He's like, it's not that easy now. You kind of have to look for this and look for that and look at populations and blah blah blah. It's different than the stuff we do, but I still feel like he's giving actual valuable information and and real stuff that's going on. So I value that. And then probably my last one, and this is for entertainment purposes only, Chasing Cardboard.
Okay.
I like their production quality. I think it's cool when they go in and see these collections. A lot of times it's people who have to sell because they have medical expenses, or they have things going on where they uh, need to move collections and stuff. And I don't know. I enjoy it as pure entertainment. I don't think anybody should really drive around the country and try to buy collections necessarily, um, but it's fun. And they're out for the pump. They want you to go to their whatnot, and they now have a for dummies type program that you can buy and like all this stuff. So just don't get caught up in that stuff and just watch it as entertainment. And um, he's just buying the stuff that he can flip right away, and and these people are in these situations where they kind of need to sell, so he's kind of got them that way and stuff. But yeah, so those are probably that was three, right? Yeah, that was three.
Yep.
My three that I watch. I'm gonna give a bonus one, and again, just because I think this guy's a straight shooter and he does different stuff than I do, so I like to watch how other people operate in the hobby. But Card Collector 2. I've been watching him forever. Back years ago when I first started going to the National, he was putting together the National Trade Night. I always thought that was pretty cool. It was a free event, in a hotel room. You can kind of just go talk to other collectors, and you can't afford a table in the show. You can set your crap out on a table in that, what used to just be like a hotel lobby or a conference room, which now it's like huge. But I was like that. He took the big flying leap and he bought a shop a couple of years ago in Ohio, and huge Ohio State fan. He PCs hard. A lot of his stuff is just PC pickups, at shows. But I think the thing that I like the most about him is how he does his business when he's buying at card shows, right? Which is like my main, our main way for picking up inventory. And just watching him do a lot of bundling, and I'm at 100 on this and 100 on this, and you want 250. Can we do 250 and I get this card too? Or he's good at that. He's good at like fitting things into the numbers so he gets the prices he needs, and at the same time gets the dealer the deal that the dealer is really looking for. So I like that. I think that's good. Yeah. So those would probably be my three plus a bonus one.
Yeah, if I were to throw a bonus one out there too, I would throw out someone who is in the Discord with us. And apologies, I can't think of their YouTube screen name, but their channel is called Fun Corner, and they do a nice series called 20 to Brady Challenge, where they're trying to make their way. What do we call it? The ladder game, where you start with some base low end cards and you keep trying to build up to
like a trade up,
that Grail card. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So I enjoy their content as well. It's not about, well, it's a little bit about selling, because he's trying to find those good deals where he can flip it and make a profit that he can add to the kitty towards his Grail card, right?
Yeah. I agree. That sounds fun. And I think content creators, it evolves. I can remember like the Hobby Box a couple of years ago was pretty big. PSA Collector, Sports Card Dad when he first came out. What's the other guy? The guy in LA who's a model, and he came back. He was like back in cardboard or something like that.
I
And
don't
it was
know.
like just all these content creators that just came out because, well, it was COVID, so there's nothing else to do, and they were just taking advantage of a booming market, and they're all gone. And they were okay to watch at the time, but I could tell that they weren't going to have longevity because their channels completely hinged on, um, the market continuing to stay high, which nothing ever does like that. So
I think Sports Card Dad is still around because I've watched him in the last couple months.
he is, but I don't really
I
watch
don't
his
watch him
channel.
regularly. No.
He isn't really involved in cards very much, and he just kind of, I don't know. Yeah, he understands some economics and stuff, and he talks about some other things. And I'm not saying like I don't think he's a terrible channel to watch. I just don't think it adds a lot of value to me. And a lot of times he just talks about things that are in the news. Well, I can get the news, so um, I don't know. But that's the thing. Content creators, they're thumbprints, right? They're all going to be a little different. So you got to go out and find, which ones. I'm sure there's plenty of people who've seen my channel and they're like, a 2 hour card box video, I ain't watching that, and that's fine. That's okay. You have to watch what you think is good. Um, I need to get some more sales day videos out. I do have a big audience for that likes that. I mean, big, but not big, but big for the number of subscribers I have anyway. Big percentage of them like those videos. So I gotta try to get some more of that in there. And it's tough as a content creator. You gotta find time to do it. And I mean, I guess if that's the only way you're making your income, it's probably not as bad. But for us and for a lot of these card content creators, it's just something they're doing on the side. The cards are what they're really in the business of.
I never had any intentions of being a content creator, and I still feel like I don't consider myself a content creator really. But I just started putting some stuff out there because some people asked for it, and I was like, well, if people are asking for it, I'll share what I'm doing with people that want to watch it.
Mm-hmm. Have you made content, Charlie?
I have made content.
You're a content creator.
I know, but that's not what I
really not that complicated. Yeah, I know what you mean. I know what you mean. Yeah, and it's not. I think everybody gets. I shouldn't say everybody, but I think a lot of people get the wrong impression. Like, oh, you make these videos and then you get like $10,000. Like that's not anywhere near anything like that. It takes a lot of time. A 20-minute video might take you like 3 hours to put together.
Yes.
If there's editing and stuff in it. I know Bo does a daily show, but he goes live, and then he's done, and that's it. There's no editing. There's no, other than the countdown in the beginning to the launch. There's nothing that has to be done to the video. So,
right.
Jeff with Sports Card Investor has a team of 25 people, and following him around and doing all the editing and he doesn't touch any of that stuff.
Right.
And so it depends on really where you're at, where you come from, as far as, how much of it you can really do as well. Oops, did I just skip that one? Any tips for evaluating condition of SI for kids cards, given how fragile they can be? Not really. Actually, now that they can scan, that actually helps. I actually think I'm a big fan of taking pictures over scanning for a lot of reasons. But I actually think with the SI for kids cards, the scanning is so much better because it's really hard to get the perforations and stuff with the camera. So I do like that improvement from the scanner side. I basically list them all that's the only types of cards where I list them all at excellent. I don't list them any of them at near mint to mint because it's pretty much impossible to get. Like a PSA 10 SI for kids card is really tough. And then I just sort of downgrade it from there, right? So like, let's say there's some paper loss or it was torn off the corner a bit, or, these were ripped out of magazines. Then I just start going down, oh, geez, there's a big hunk missing. Okay, well, this is a good quality or this is a poor quality or whatever. You basically just have to kind of assign a quality to each individual card. I've been selling SI for kids cards for a long time, and I very, very rarely have a problem where somebody's like, "Hey, this isn't nice quality" or whatever. And if you're taking a picture of it, and this is the thing that always gets me. If you're taking a picture of it, a scan, whatever it is, and the customer's like, "Oh, there's a small tear in the back." Yeah, you can see that in the look at the damn picture, before you buy it. But anything that you can't maybe see in the picture, there's a crease that doesn't really show up. Just note that in the description or even the title. A lot of times I just put it right in the title. I'll put a little star, and then I'll say like crease, crease bottom right, or tear on back, or something like that. If you're gonna try to sell that kind of a card, just try to disclose it as best you can. But I saw for kids buyers, they know what they're getting into. No one expects it to be a fresh out of the pack, sharp four corners type card. That's not what it is.
I was looking to see if there's any info on the next edition coming out, but their website doesn't really give you any inclination of what that might be.
I'm sorry, for what?
SI for kids.
Oh, right. Yeah, I was kind of thinking we should have an issue by now, but
I was just wondering that, like, when is the next one due? But
it's every 2 months, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, because I thought we got the last one in early April, so in theory we should be getting one any day now.
Yeah.
I would think within the next couple days. So now watch out for your SI issues if you're subscribed. Another one of my tips, to put that out there, and there was like 30 people who subscribed to SI for kids.
Yeah.
Like the next day, it's a pretty decent deal. So that's how I do it. I have one subscription. When the magazine comes, I look at, well, how hot are these and how much can I sell them for? And then I just run around town and buy the other copies if they're hot. So that way I'm not oversubscribed, and I can just pick up issues like last week when it had Charlie Woods on it.
Yep.
And those were going, I was selling those for $30-$40 a piece, whatever they were. I just ran around and bought every issue I could find, and flipped extra ones of those. It's free money, why not? Yeah. Let's see. Johnny M. Evening Guy's been running a buy 10, get 50% off sale, moving a lot of stuff. Yep, that'll do it. And again, this is a good time of year to do that, especially if you got a lot of stuff you need to sell. When you buy giant monster boxes of cards at a penny a piece, you can sell them pretty darn cheap. That's the beauty of it. You can sell them in quantity, and you can sell them cheap. I like that part. Let's see, where are we at? Brian says you don't like competition. I would say not. It's all bulk. I'll 4x my money. Well, can't complain with 4xing. Does anybody like competition when you rather be the only one selling in your category at a show? Come on, dude. Yes and no. I think competition is healthy. I think it keeps sellers honest. I think if you had a show and you had one person set up, I don't think you'd have a lot of customers show up. So that could potentially be a problem. If you were the only ever Pokemon dealer, you might not have as many Pokemon buyers that would go, because they'd be like, well, there's just this one dealer. I can go to a different show where there's more Pokemon dealers. So it depends. Charlie and I talk about that sometimes. We're like, hey, we go to this show because there's like 5 non-sport dealers where we never see non-sport dealers. Well, I'll go to that show then. So in a way, having some competition there was beneficial. And even at that, I might go to this non-sport dealer and he's got Star Wars stuff, and go to this non-sport dealer and he's got, Pokemon, and go to this non-sport and it's, I don't know, whatever else, 80s movie cards. So even though it's kind of in the same area, it might be different stuff.
Yeah.
You might have a bulk Pokemon seller, near a slabbed Pokemon seller. It's two different markets to some degree. Nope, 100%. I'll be there to take my losses and my wins. Can't complain either way.
That's a great thing about our show and the interactive chat is lots of different opinions. It's fun to have those discussions.
Yeah, and I think, that's what we like about this show. It's healthy. We want everybody to have conversations. That's how we learn how to do better things and
We
different
have a
things.
good
And
Discord.
yeah, on the Discord too, of course. Got to get on our Discord. Charlie's going to put a link up right now.
I am.
Yeah, Charlie's a tech guy, so that's Charlie's job.
Let me get a fresh link.
I think that's the thing that I like a lot about having Max in here. Max is a total different seller than I am, like from top to bottom. Like the way he does it, the cards he sells, sometimes how he buys, where he likes to sell at shows. Like it's totally different than what I do, and that's what I love about it, because I can talk about my stuff, and then he comes in and can say, no, this is better for me this way. And I'm like, wow, that's okay, cool. That's how Pokemon works. Or that's how you work with the way you run your business. So I think it's good. And again, we're all in competition, but I think there's room for all of us. I was thinking about this the other day, Charlie. I had my lowest sales day since I went full time, right? So I'm like, what is going on? I got to fix this. And I started looking at like how many other like volume low end card dealers and stuff there are. There really aren't that many.
Yeah.
You're not competing with a whole ton of them that do volume anyway. I think every dealer has some low end cards. It's almost impossible to avoid, but sellers that are putting 60, 80,000 listings out there, not a lot. There isn't a lot. So I think there's room for us, and we all play the game a little bit differently too. We have some in our Discord who are big time hockey dealers. We have a few that do a lot of basketball. We have baseball. I do a lot of non-sport. A lot of sports card dealers don't even touch non-sport. They just want to get rid of it. So, I think we all have different ways we can kind of play and be able to get our numbers. And I don't care who you are and how good your rep is, how many customers you have, you're going to have a down sales day once in a while. Like you have to just accept that fate. Cause that's going to happen. Maybe all my customers were on vacation in Florida at one time.
Yeah.
Who knows? They just weren't buying that day. I did hear from some people in the last couple of days that they had some problems with eBay, getting listings to load and things like that. So I don't know, maybe a bunch of my listings got dumped temporarily or stuck on a wrong server or something. I don't know. That's possible. How would I ever know that? If you have 100 listings, you can probably dig through them all and see what's listing. When you have 43,000 listings, yeah, that's not going to happen. So, it's okay. I didn't lose any money either. I only, I just didn't sell as much. So
Right.
I still have those cards to sell the next day. Brian says his three are Adam and Charlie, SCV cards, and Vintage Sports Shack. I don't think I've seen either of those two.
I know Vintage Sports Shack.
I know a lot of people like sports card radio. They just like that drama. In the hobby, like they like to talk about some of the bad actors and people who don't like them, and PPP loans going to Jeff and that kind of stuff. And I'll watch their stuff once in a while, but yeah, to watch a completely mostly negative show on a regular basis, I don't think that's me. So, but they have a pretty solid audience. There's a lot of people who just like negativity all the time, and trolling the internet. So if that's your thing, there's a spot for that too. All right, Joe Zacola says, good evening, chaps. Good evening, Joe. Welcome to the show. At least he said chaps and not gentlemen.
That's right. We don't like to hear that kind of language.
Andrew says he loves my 2 to 3 hour unboxing videos. See? I told you there's somebody who liked it. Now, that being said, and I have some more to put up, but I've decided to take some of those videos and chop shorts out of them because it's very small intake for those with attention issues and time issues. So I plan to continue doing that as I go through the 7 boxes. I just think it gives some opportunity to see maybe a summation of what's in the box without having to kind of thumb through the 2-hour video.
Let's figure out how to do that.
So hopefully there's something for everyone on that. Yeah, I can make like 6 or 8 videos out of each one into shorts. So, yeah, and that seems to do well. I get a lot of views on short. Charlie knows, he's just recently posted shorts. They get a ton of views because they hit the algorithm different. They get pushed different, and they're obviously shorter, so more can be consumed.
Yeah, I was shocked. Like I'm up over 500 views on one of my shorts, and all I
Yeah.
said was I love a surprise find, and I didn't reveal anything that's in the private collection I picked up from a family member. So there's not, I probably shouldn't say this, but there's no payoff actually in the short. It's just a teaser for what's
You know
to
what
come.
that's called, Charlie?
What's that called?
Clickbait.
Clickbait.
The clickbait video. But here's the thing, okay? So for those of you who don't do YouTube or don't know YouTube, shorts don't engage, so you don't get they're short, obviously. So you don't get much view
Go
time out
figure.
of it. You can get a lot of views. The goal is to sort of attract a viewer who wouldn't normally view your channel, right?
Yeah.
That's really their purpose. That's not your real content purpose, because you're not going to make much off of that. You're not going to get a lot of views. No one's really going to see who you are, and because I believe the video has to be under 65 seconds or something like that long. It's like some weird time frame, a little
Yeah.
over a minute. But it kind of gives you an idea to quick shout out, what you're doing, and then hopefully you'll get some subs, you'll watch some other videos, and so on and so forth. That's really the point of those. In my case, or at least in the case of these ones I'm going to make, it is more for my audience who just want small snippets of a long video. Is basically what I'm trying to do with them. Yeah, shorts are pretty awesome. Let's see.
Especially in the summer when it's hot.
Right, exactly.
That's my dad joke for the night.
I
That's
can't
what I'm here
even.
for. I'll be here
I
all
can't
night.
even.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Remember to tip your waitress.
you'll be there by yourself all night. Yes, that's true. Let's see. Who is your favorite player to sell? Ooh, I like selling every player. I love
You have
sales.
favorites though.
I love sales. I want to say Derek Jeter, just because the main reason why is I just love the cards in the era that he played. So I like the early '90s junk wax stuff like that. That Topps rookie card of his, where it's that really generic, like drawn baseball field, and he's like this skinny little 17-year-old there with
Yeah,
a bat,
yeah.
and there's a gold parallel where they just put a big block of gold right over his name. I love those cards. Overprinted, don't care. I can get them cheap. They still sell too, by the way. Um, I can get a pile of Derek Jeter rookie cards. You can't get a pile of Victor Wembanyama rookie cards for a cheap price, anyway. And then he played into like the mid 2010s, where products started getting better quality. You had more interesting sets. There's autos and stuff like that. He was in the late '90s, where all the best inserts occurred, in my opinion. The early 2000s, where you had less production, so you get like these 2003 Fleer Premium cards, where you don't see those products hardly ever. For Topps Legends, what a great set that was.
Yeah.
So I just love it. Topps made products. Has always made products for baseball, and I love Topps products way more than I do Panini products. So the kind of the baseball player trumps football or basketball players for me because of that reason. Um, Otherwise, Brady might be second, just because, man, you can get Brady cards fairly cheap and they sell pretty high. So I
Yeah.
like the margins on the Brady stuff. Well, Jeter stuff is kind of right there too if you buy enough bulk. But like later year Brady cards, it's like a pile of mosaic base and a pile of optic base. You just don't like the products as much. So um, I think Derek Jeter really stands out for me that way.
This is a tough one for me because one of the things I learned from you, Adam, is really, try not to get too emotionally attached to any card. right? Like we're getting it to sell it. But if I had to name a player, I would say Shaq is one of the ones I really enjoy selling because he's got a lot of fun cards. He's such a big personality. So then there's some cards that match that. Like you had one the other day where he was like mean mugging or something like that, I think.
Oh yeah, the Shaq one.
Yeah. And like
Yeah,
just the other day I sold a Young Lion one that I think was just a cool design, and he does a lot of fun images. But really, if I'm totally honest, my favorite player to sell isn't a single player at all. It's those players I pick up on instinct to say, I can find someone who's going to want this when I know 20 other flippers walked by and said, yeah, I don't want that. I get so excited when that sells because I knew there would be a buyer for that when others didn't.
Yeah, and total cop-out answer, but that's okay.
I know.
But along that line, that's true. Along that lines, I really like selling non-sport. I think the cards are super interesting. There's so many different characters, and you can almost sell anything. I'll buy like a lot of Marvel masterpieces, and I might have somebody buy an Archangel and a Beast card. Like I just love that. There's all these great holograms and little gimmicky. Again, I kind of go back to '90s which was when the bulk of that stuff was made because they made a trading card for everything in the '90s because everything was selling. Garbage Pail Kids, all that stuff is it's fun. If I were to like strongly PC stuff outside of Favre, the non-sport stuff, well, I kind of do because I PC the packs, but yeah, just non-sport is just fun. The sky's the limit. I have some really great wide vision Monty Python and the Holy Grail cards that I just love right now. With the one with the attacking rabbit. The rabbits coming out at the. Do you know that movie? The Killer Rabbit. The arm is off. He's fighting. He started fighting with the guy in the armor. And he cuts off one arm, and he's like, "I can still fight you." And then he cuts off the other arm, and he's like, "What are you going to do? You have no arms."
You're not.
And then
you're not talking Monty Python again, are you?
Yeah, Monty Python and the Holy Grail.
Ever made?
No, whatever. I'm moving on. I'm done sharing moments with you.
They're no Benny Hill, I'll tell you that.
Whatever. Okay. Sports 20 MI says Sports Card Dad is a joke. I tried watching for a little bit, but every video of his is a third to a half of ad reads. Yeah, and he's not even really entertaining. Like his editing isn't very good, and which, trust me, I'm not judging him on that because mine isn't either. But I just feel like I'll watch one of his videos and be like, why did I watch that? That was like 10 minutes of like complete just somebody talking and didn't really say anything. So, and a lot of it is his opinions, and I don't really care about his opinions. So yeah, that's not my
I think I get where you're coming from, and that's probably why I haven't like subscribed and watched it regularly. I watched a couple episodes, and I was like, if it comes up in my feed, I might click on it for a little bit, but I don't go seek it out.
And that's why you don't watch my channel, right?
That's part of it, yeah.
Or is it because I like Monty Python and the Holy Grail?
Well, I mean, I do have to question your judgment when you say things like that.
Classic. I suppose you don't like The Love Guru either. One of the greatest movies ever made. I do
like The Love Guru. I think that gets a bad rap.
Yeah, that movie, we quote that movie almost every day at my house. Bree and I love that movie. As soon as the kid's in bed and we're like, let's watch a movie, put in Love Guru.
I can't quote it, but I have watched it a couple times. And part of that is just because I am... I'm in the minority, I think. I am a Mike Myers fan. I'll watch any of his.
Yes, stuff. Me too.
Yeah.
I am too. Yep, I loved all the Austin Powers and So I Married an Axe Murderer.
Oh, I love that one.
Wayne's World. I mean, come on. He's even his SNL skits, Dito and Simon. My name
This
is
is the time on
Simon.
Sprockets where we dance.
I like to do drawings. And then he did the one where he had to wear the helmet, you know. Mama says I can't have chocolate because chocolate makes me hyper. You know,
Yes.
yeah, he's just awesome. He is awesome. I shouldn't speak about him past tense. Rumor has it he's making another Austin Powers movie, so we'll see how
I'll
that
watch
goes.
it. I love
Yeah,
Austin
I will
Powers.
too. I will too.
Yeah, baby.
Yeah, baby. He's just the confidence he exudes and everything is it's just good stuff. But yeah, some of the humor when we watch, because he does, you know, he basically plays a guru, right, in that movie.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of jokes about Indian culture and things like that, which makes sense. But when we watch that movie now, we're like, I don't even know if you could really make this movie right now. Like, it's a little too, like, Blazing Saddles is like evil right now. You know, I think we have to
Yeah.
kind of get through this stage and get back to. I think the Tom Brady roast broke that curse a little bit because that got pretty. You could pretty much say whatever you wanted in that thing, and I thought it was kind of fun to see some of that kind of comedy be brought back. Comedy is one thing; using it for political gain or to hurt someone else, that's different. So
Yeah.
we need to be able to separate those things.
Blazing Saddles, though, they really pushed the envelope. Like when Mongo punched that horse, I could not believe he punched that horse.
Right. Yeah, that was the part that was tough, right? The horse punching.
Mongo just pawn in Game of Life.
Mongo. Yeah. So anyway,
He was an ex-football player, wasn't he? I forget who played him, but I think he was an ex-athlete.
John Matuzak? Is that a John Matuzak one?
You're thinking of the Goonies.
Sloth, right? But he did some other acting roles.
I mean, I'll have to look it up as we move along.
I don't remember.
Alex Karras played Mongo.
Oh, Karras. That's right. That would explain why I saw a lot of Alex Karras vintage cards.
Exactly. It's because of Blazing Saddles.
Probably. Scott Fiskus is here. Good evening. My sales have really picked up last week. Not sure why. I have not listed a ton. Week before was terrible. Yeah, it seems like, and we've been hearing that a lot more, and on the Discord, it's been on there a lot too. I think we talked about this last summer, Charlie. Do you remember last summer when like you'd go like 8 hours without even an offer, and you're like, what the hell? And it was like eBay was switching all their servers and stuff.
Yes.
I think to some degree, some of their maintenance is done this time of year. They can't do it in December because that's their peak, you know, numbers season. So I think to some degree you're just seeing, because I'll have like no sales for an hour and then I'll have like 50 cards sold in the next hour. That makes no sense to some degree. And they're not all bought by the same buyer, by the way. If it was one order, that'd be different.
Yeah.
So I think there's a little bit of that. And then I think it's just not a big market this time of year. So you're going to see more, oh, I found a few buyers, great. And then there might not be a few buyers for a little while, you know, for some of those cards. So yeah, I mean, I'm glad you're having success now. It's good. Again, look at those averages. Try to follow your averages. You know, like Charlie said, I'm seeing some growth. You know, some days I'm down here, but some days I'm up here, and you know, I'll draw my chart and I'm going like this. Can you see my hand? I'm going like this. You know, that's what you want, right?
Karate chop.
Karate chop. Judo chop. We got to stick with the Mike Myers thing. Judo trip. The judo trip was my favorite.
My favorite scene, or one of my favorite scenes in the Austin Powers movies, is when he's turning that golf cart around in that hallway.
Yeah. Ironically enough, that's ties sort of to one of my favorite scenes in Love Guru. Whenever he backs up the magic carpet and it has that beep.
Yeah.
Beep, beep, the backup, you know. And, oh my God, it's just great. So good. And then, and he always has great co-stars. He has really nice women in Hollywood in his films, and yeah, it's very entertaining. Let's see. Dan says he watches all the ones we have mentioned for our top 3. So I assume those are all pretty big channels. for what we do. So I would imagine most of you have seen those channels. Oh no, a question for me. This can't be
Uh-oh.
good. Did you see an uptick in sales when you upgraded your store after you hit the 11,000? Does it help the algorithm? Um, no, and I'll tell you why. Because I had the bigger store subscription from day one, so I never updated it to 11,000. And the reason I say that is because I've been selling other things on eBay like for 20 some years. Um, so I've always had the $60 a month store subscription, so I just started piling cards on there. I never intended to run it to have a card selling business. Like I just totally tripped into this um, before the card boom. So again, I got fortunate to some degree there. I was cleaning up my basement because I was finishing my basement and I had my boxes of stuff for moving down there. And I found my cards and I started going through them and I had all these doubles of my Favre cards and I'm like, I should start listing some of these. I was listing them, they were selling, I was making some money on them. It's like, wow, this is kind of a thing. So then I'd buy some lots and I'd list some and I'd sell some, I'd kind of play that how most of us start there. But yeah, I had a premium store all along, so I can't say I saw an uptick. No, I don't think it's due to the algorithm necessarily. I think it's just due to the law of numbers and averages. But about every 10,000 I list, I start seeing like a new tier of sales levels, right? Um, Kind of the same thing happens with my YouTube channel. I'll look at like my daily income, right, on the YouTube videos, and it's like, okay, well, here was my floor 6 months ago. Well, now here's my floor in the last 3 months. Now here's my floor next month. So you have your ups and downs, but my floor keeps moving up on what I make per day. Um, along with spikes of better numbers and worse numbers and whatnot. So yeah, I don't think you're gonna. I get asked this quite a bit actually about when did you start seeing big boosts in sales? And no, you don't. Be honest with you, you just kind of keep increasing your numbers and on what you do, and then your sales numbers keep increasing. There isn't I went from selling 5 cards a day to 6,000 cards a day. Like that's not a real thing. You still have to have enough listed to be able to hit any of those kinds of increases. Um, and just with the time and the effort involved in listing cards, you're not going to list 15,000 cards in a day. So you're just going to see these numbers as you go. Also, over time, you're going to start buying and selling better. You're going to get better at it. So you're going to get better deals on some cards, and you're going to sell cards for higher prices. You're going to get better margins, things like that. So your own efforts is probably what you're really going to see. I did buy a couple of Rowdy Tellez rookie cards at this last Green Bay show. I was gonna send them to you, but I decided to list them because I want to see, and mainly for this live show. So selfishly, I did it that's why I did it. I want to see how long it takes to sell them. I think I put them at $2.99. I have to go check. I think they're Topps rookies. Let me see what they are.
$2.99 for Rowdy Tellez.
Yeah, I believe that's what I listed it at, $2.99. And
I
I
think
have two
that's
of
gonna
them.
be a challenge.
Now, I also list with my coupon price in mind. Let's see, how do you spell? Oh, that's why I didn't type it.
That's fair.
Like, why is Favre showing up?
You can sell it for any list price. The question is, what are you going to sell it for in the end?
Right. So that's why I price high, because I always figure, okay, I'll throw the deal out there, especially on quantity, and then you end up making the money that way. It's a 2019 Bowman Platinum, Rowdy Tellez rookie, renowned rookies, rookie insert, I guess is what you'd call it. I have 2 copies of it. And what did I say? Oh no, I listed it at $1.99.
Okay, that sounds right.
$1.99. Yeah, and I have a second one. I have a 2019 Topps Archives Rowdy Tellez rookie, and that's also listed at $1.99. So I'm kind of running an experiment just to see if I can find a buyer for these. I don't know. I just thought it'd be fun for some kind of random conversation in our shows, since we like to throw some rowdy out there.
Yeah.
Let's see. Okay. Max says Barry Sanders and Jeter. I do enjoy selling Barry Sanders. The one kind of downside to Barry Sanders is people hold his cards so hard. Like I can still get cool Jeter inserts and stuff and get a decent deal on them where I have margin to resell them. And it's like, anytime there's like a nice Barry Sanders parallel or insert or something like that, everybody wants top dollar for it. So it's harder for me to get that kind of inventory. Now, don't get me wrong, it's like base scorecards sell. So, you can still buy basically anything of his and there's enough market for it. But I don't feel like I get to have as much fun in those cards. He also didn't play that long. Like Jeter played from 92 to 2015, I think, 2014. Like that's a super long career. Barry only played for 10 years? Not even. See, he was a rookie in 89. And I think he left the league in 99, 98, 99. I want to say.
Something like that.
No, not that they don't still make cards of him even after he's gone, but you don't get as much, right? You're not going to get as many inserts and things like that. There's a base card in every set or whatever, but and again, for me, it's football. So when I look at like the modern cards of his, it's Mosaic and just like a lot of brands that I don't enjoy as much as Topps products. That's going to change soon though. At the National, I'm going to be buying some of those Topps Chronicles type set boxes. I can't remember what the damn name of the set is, but they're basically going to have a bunch. It's basically like a Topps sample product. Is kind of how I see it. They're going to have a bunch of different sets, top sets that they're going to be making once they have licensing. They're going to throw them in that set like Chronicles, and I'm excited as hell to see some of that. That's going to be fun.
That'll be fun.
I have to add some money to my budget for that one. I think, that being said, especially if that is the first week those products are going to be out, I think the resale on those is going to be great. But you probably open a box, list them all, and sell every single card within a week.
Probably right, yeah.
You know what I mean? So
I need to take some time off of work for that.
Yeah, so that might. Well, you won't have to. You'll be at the National.
That's true. Does it come out that same week?
Well, good point. I guess I don't know the actual release date, but they keep. I don't think anybody does. I don't think they've said what it is. But at the Topps conference, they said it will be out in time for the National. So to me, it seems like that's something they're going to bring to the National to really push, the new stuff that they're going to be putting out. That's kind of my opinion. I don't see why you'd release at the hobby shops a week before.
Yeah.
When you have your best advertisement opportunity in the card world the next week, you'd think you just bring stuff there and launch it that way. I'm hoping and this might make it hard to get the product there too, but I'm hoping they're also tying silver packs to it, so that if you buy some of those boxes, you get the Topps, the National exclusive Topps packs,
right?
With it. That would be then it's a no-brainer. Then you got to buy a whole case of this stuff. It's going to be worth it. So we'll see. It's funny because I was going to mention this too. Card Hobby, it says I like it when a no-name player sells, so I can say, dang, someone wanted this card. Yeah, you almost feel like you pulled one over on them, right? Like, I just listed this because it was in my stack of stuff and it went in the scanner.
Like your Eddie Jones cards.
I saw a lot of. You know about that? Stop. Don't tell people. There's a lot of times when I'm like, I don't know who this guy is, but he's a lineman and it's a rookie and there probably aren't that many cards of him. I'll throw it out there and boom, they sell. So yeah, those Super Bowl run cards or whatever that are in Donruss and Optic, those are great ones because a lot of them are like random defensive sub-in dime package players that they don't make cards of in any other set. And you can sell those real easily. So I like stuff like that. All right. Odd Merchants Vintage says he sells a ton of Ryan Sandberg, Will Clark, Ray Lewis, Sean Kemp, Gary Payton. I think they're all fan favorites, and most have a career with one team. That is a big selling factor. That's a good point. I don't think it's completely necessary because pretty much every quarterback ends their run with a different team, but most people see them as the team that they played their good years with. Because I saw a lot of Montana, a lot of Steve Young started with a different team and ended up with the team that everybody knows him from. You got Brett Favre, you've got, you know, Brady. I mean, those guys all sell very, very well, and they all change teams. And it's funny because the names I see on your list, none of those are names that are big sellers for me. So that kind of goes back to my point earlier where I said, well, we all kind of are in competition, but we sort of play the game differently. So there's room for us. Now, that being said, I have a ton of Gary Payton and Sean Kemp rookies that I've gotten in my boxes. I wouldn't have necessarily have seeked them out, sought them out. How do I say that? Is it sought? I wouldn't have sought them out. I wouldn't have sought them out, but I have them, and I'm going to list them, and I hope I sell them all. So, you know, those are good opportunities on a way to kind of expand to and find players. Charlie looks at my basketball sales and they don't make sense, and that's kind of on purpose to some degree. I'll buy those players that everybody else thinks you can't sell, and boom, there's markets for it. The other thing I find with this is you get customers, right? So your point in here where their fan favorites had one team, you know, people who buy Gary Payton. Well, guess what? If they bought Gary Payton cards from you and you keep listing Gary Payton cards, they're going to buy more Gary Payton cards from you. So it ends up being a big seller for you because you found a customer that's what they want to buy. Right now, I have a customer who every day is buying like 3 to 4 of those Starline, those celebrity cards that I buy. He bought Milton Berle and I can't remember what the other one was today. The dad on Elf. What's his name? James Caan.
Yes.
James Caan. He bought those 2 today. And he's been buying like 3 or 4 of those every day for like the past 2 weeks. I've sold like a bulk of, you know, a set that I bought for, well, actually I didn't even pay anything for it because they came free with all the soccer lot that I bought. But I found a customer who wants those, you know. I could have sold none of those in the past week had I not got a hold of that customer. So one of my better sellers in the past few days, and because I had some, you know, bulk, I had quantity of something that somebody was looking to buy. Are any of those big sellers for you, Charlie? Those players?
None.
I mean, I've sold cards of every single one of those players. Right. It's not like I haven't, right. But I wouldn't say like, oh, Ryan Sandberg's my best seller. Not even close.
Right. I would not say any of them are big sellers. Same as you, I sell some, and I list quite a few of these because I do kind of along the same thinking as Odd Merchants here. If I'm not getting high volume liquid players in my cards, I'm getting team legends, fan favorites, and these are some of the names that I get.
So do you know who Marcell Ozuna is?
Yeah.
Does he matter?
No. I mean, he's a regular for the last 8 years or so. Like, he's a starter, but does he really matter? You know, when I think of wins above a replacement, he's not a big margin player. Okay.
So in one of the first boxes there, and you can go back to the video, my 2-hour video, and dig this out, I guess. There was a little stack of Topps Update Marcell Ozuna rookie cards, like 6 or 8 of them, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I listed them at $1.99 a piece. Remember, I paid a penny for them, or let's say 2 cents for argument's sake. I just sold my last one, so I sold 7 or 8 of them. I can't remember what the total quantity was originally. I think let's say 7 for argument's sake. Sold them all within a week. Like, but why? It's Marcell Ozuna. So you hit that algorithm. I had quantity. I got a buyer, and then I had a couple other buyers come in and scoop them up. So yeah, that's one of my hottest selling cards in the past 2 days or past, probably week, I would say. But it shouldn't be. So,
Yeah.
you know,
He's on an upswing right now, but when you look at his overall career, I mean, R.A. Dickey won a Cy Young and then fell off the face of the earth, right? So,
is Marcelo Ozuna going to make the Hall of Fame?
boy, I think that'd be a tough sell.
So that's kind of what I look at when I look at more long-term pricing on players. Is I look at what's gonna be their final place.
Right.
So you can buy Brady forever. It's not he's always going to be a factor. You can buy Joe Montana forever. You can buy Mariano Rivera forever. You can buy Mickey Mantle forever, the second best Yankee of all time. There's just those ones that you can do that with, and then there's Marcelo Ozuna, where you get them for cheap and you just put them at $2 and hopefully
hope a hype cycle comes along where he does something good, and then you can move him.
Lewis Gill, sell the crap out of that because that's not going to last forever. Those Paul Skeens, those players you need to just move.
Speaking of Skeens, doesn't he have an injury now? Can he pull a quad or something like that? We were talking about that last week.
Yeah, I don't have any cards of his, and I wasn't going to run around and try to get him or anything. He's a pitcher, so he's not going to matter. And he throws too hard, so it's going to burn him out. Hopefully, at least got a contract and got some money out of it before he breaks down. Just sold a Garbage Pail Kids card I listed while I was watching you guys tonight. Nice. Well, you're welcome. I talked about it, so it helped it sell. Let's see. Max says I have YouTube on my iPad in the background for probably 8+ hours a day. I enjoy long form videos. Yeah, and that's a lot of the feedback I get. I had somebody the other day tell me, you have a calm, soothing voice, so I like to have it on in the background. What they don't know is I shoot a lot of my videos at like 5 a.m. and 2 doors down, everybody's sleeping. So, I'm trying to not wake the house. But, yeah, I was kind of against it at first. I'm like, who's going to want to watch this for 2 hours? But you know what? If you don't want to, you don't have to either. You can skip around or just have it on in the background. And if I do find a card or I say something interesting, you can kind of take a few seconds and focus on that and move back through. So, I have a lot of videos. I have a lot of viewers who go through the entire video, but they don't watch the 2 hours. They watch like 35 minutes of it. If I look at like my average watch time and stuff like that. So, but yeah, consequently, you can literally just list and throw it on. It's no different than putting a movie on. So, and for the most part, it's not something I talk about each card. I try to anyway, so that you don't have to watch necessarily. You can just kind of have it on, and then, like I said, if something catches your attention, you can pause and actually watch it then. So hope to keep doing that. I know there'll be at least 4 more long form videos
to get through the boxes.
Yeah, I get through the boxes. I haven't looked through them either. Other than like I said, I pulled out like a handful out of different spots in each box. Just kind of get a gauge of what was going to be there. But when I'm filming those and I post those videos, I'm seeing them for the first time right along with you guys. So it's kind of fun. Middle-aged man, Mike Myers. Yes. Mike Myers is very, very high on my list. Nice. He's so awesome. I punch you into a shirt. That was actually Justin Timberlake, but still funny. Jacques Lecoq.
Yeah.
But he is one of my favorite lines he has. And who did he say it to? The coach maybe from the hockey team, Vern Troyer, I think was the coach. Anyway, he just yelled back at him, "Get off my tits!" That makes me laugh every time. But just so many great visuals, and I don't know. He's great. I could talk about Mike Myers all night long. Sprockets. Yeah, Sprockets, Hyper Hypo Kid, Austin Powers, Shrek. Yeah, Shrek. Don't forget Shrek.
Yes,
Even
Shrek.
even some family entertainment in there. I love Phil Hartman, and so I married. Yeah, Phil Hartman's also one of my favorites. And so I married an axe murderer. My name is John Johnston, but everyone calls me Vicky. Yeah, That's a very underrated movie. Heed that line at the beginning, and the Scottishman, and the kid sitting in front of the TV, and he says, "Heed." Look at the melon on that kid,
Yes.
telling him to move. Oh my god. So, he makes me laugh. And he plays like 10 characters in every one of his movies. Like, he's awesome.
The Hartman character I always remember is on SNL, Caveman Lawyer. I'm just
Yeah,
a caveman.
caveman. Yeah. Phil Hartman was very entertaining. Hartman on News Radio. I never really watched that, so I've heard good things, but I never got into it. Let's see. The golf scene has become a verb. You'll see someone trying an Austin Powers a vehicle into a tight spot. Oh yeah, it's such a great scene. It goes like this, and he backs up like 2 inches, and
Yeah.
goes like this, and he looks over
The
and
scene lasts
smiles.
for
And,
like 2.5 minutes or something.
oh, I know, it's so good. Just like when the truck's coming at him, right? And he's like, no,
Yeah.
and it's like it goes like a half a mile an hour, and it's like 60 feet away, and they keep showing it getting closer, and then he gets run over. Like, how the hell did you? Oh, that's great. Max's Card Collector 2 has a good channel, good variety if you like show videos, pickups, box breaks, etc. Some of the good ones out there. Not a ton of low end guys.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's right.
I agree. And again, that's one of the reasons why I started my channel, because there was tons of this other, flip and fluff type stuff that was out there, especially at that time. A lot of those channels are gone now, but yeah, nobody was paying any attention to the $1 cards, and I thought that was a big mistake. So that's what we do here. It's not sexy. I'm not going to get 70,000 viewers. I get all that, but that's not my motivation either. I mean, I would like 70,000 viewers. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not going to get what Sports Card Investor channel gets. I think I should be able to get Sports Card Dad type audience, but he got a ton of his audience when everybody was at home during COVID, and he was one of the first channels out. And he's good on camera and things like that. I'm not totally poo-pooing his channel. It's just not for me, the content that's on there. But if I'd have started my channel, I think, a year or two earlier, I was one of those, like most on YouTube, who are like, well, I don't really know how to make videos, and I'm not going to be good on a camera, and blah, blah. They don't have to be perfect. You just got to put something out there that's going to have some kind of value, and you'll get viewers. You'll get people that will want to watch. So, let's see. Been enjoying your box buy videos. Good to pop on while I work. Yeah, exactly.
I'm trying to figure out
Thanks for
I'm
watching,
going.
by the way. I appreciate all of you for watching. Charlie and I enjoy you guys coming on here every week. Wednesday night, we know there's lots going on, especially this time of year. And we consistently have a pretty solid audience of 30 to 35 viewers every week. And I'm very pleased with that. And that's lots of engagement in the chat. We couldn't do it without you guys. So props to you.
I'm trying to figure out how I'm going to film my box when I go through it. Do you use your chest camera when you do that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I figured. I don't have anything like that, so I'm trying to figure how I'm going to get an angle where I can see the whole box. It almost be over my shoulder, right?
Yep.
I think I've got to go aerial. I think I've got to have some height on my camera.
Yeah, you could try shooting it, like have a higher table and clamp to the end of the table and try to shoot down that way. I do have a floor standing light that I can point down. I can use that, but the chest camera just works perfect, so I use that.
Yeah.
I have to download all the footage because it's not right on my phone to edit and do all that part. Kind of stinks, but there's worse things in the world.
Yeah.
Generally, once I have a good GoPro. I had a generic GoPro previously. That was not good. Not a good download experience. But with the GoPro, it hooks up. It's got its own Wi-Fi built in. You just hook up to that Wi-Fi and let it download. to look
Nice.
through it. The biggest thing is keeping battery life on the damn thing.
Yeah.
You know, if you're filming 2.5 hours, it starts soaking up battery, especially in high def. Let's see. Max says just sucks that apparently Myers is one of the worst celebs to work with in
I've heard
Hollywood. I heard that too, but I also, from a celebrity who worked with him that said it was hard, they said that he wasn't like difficult as in like a bad person or anything. He's a perfectionist.
yeah.
So he said it's really hard because it's like, well, what do you want? Well, I want this. And then you do it. No, not like that. Like this. Like he has, his timing is very important. And there's a lot of things to it that he's a little tight on. So,
Like a musician taking 45 takes on a track.
right. Dan says he likes selling Ken Griffey Jr. Was a big fan of his when he was younger. Yeah, I like selling Ken Jr. cards too. Again, it's in that like peak time frame of cards that I like, so that helps. What's funny was when I first started doing baseball, because I was basically just doing football when I very first started, because I was doing Favre and I was kind of expanding to Brady and some other things. I didn't sell any Ken Griffey Jr. cards. There was like nobody buying. Now we're talking, I had like 40 cards, right? You know, and as I've built Griffey over time, I've got a lot more Griffey sales. So I feel like he's more of a player where people are coming in and they're looking for multiple cards and they're trying to fill, you know, Griffey PCs, or looking for stuff to grade, whatever. And you kind of have to have quantity to get a lot of those sales. At least that was been my experience. Of course, better card, you know, better, more liquid cards helps.
I got a lot of joy out of selling that Ken Griffey candy bar card a few days ago. Like I do enjoy selling Griffey because he was one of my iconic players, you know, in the 90s as well.
And he was an all around good guy, right? Like, who didn't like Ken Griffey Jr.? He had a great smile. That swing was amazing. You know, he always had the gold chain thing. He always wore the eye black. Like, he was just kind of like old school baseball player, and everything seemed effortless. Like he just had that great swing, and it was just like, okay, it's a home run. Like you barely even swung, you know. I kind of think, and I don't watch a ton of baseball, and I don't know mechanics. I'm no coach or even played it, but I kind of feel like that's sort of how Ohtani swings. I feel like his swing is a lot like Griffey's. And maybe I'm wrong in that, but it seems like he's got such a nice swing and follow through, and it's just effortless, and the ball is like, it goes faster off the bat than it came in, you know, from the mound. And I don't know, it takes the right swing, I would think, to get that. But like I said, I don't really know what I'm talking about either. So Max says something like that. He would assume they're going to hold for Cleveland, referring to the Topps football stuff. Yes, I would think so. Let's see. Recommendation to you guys is to get as much as exclusive stuff as possible and list it in the hotel at night and make tons. Yeah, I did that last year. It worked out really well. Those Gary V friend cards were awesome. I wish I would have just like ran around and asked people for their Gary V cards because they're such easy money. But yeah, I opened my VIP rookie packs and I listed those. You know, and collected as much of that stuff as I could and got it up there. A lot of the coupons that came in my VIP bag, I redeemed those right away. Yeah, you're right. There's some instant money in that. That little pack of Jordan cards, I think I got like $15 a piece, and there were 7 cards in that pack.
Nice.
So man, I got like $100 just for those Jordan cards, you know. And then what's great about that is you list those. Now you're going to get a buyer who's going to add other stuff in from your store. You know, it'll help you cross sell too. We sold a bunch of the little Jordan stickers from the Panini albums. I bought a big lot of those a while ago. Just, you know, yeah, sold a bunch of other stuff just because I had those hotter items in. I buy no name guys as long as the cards are 100 or less. Yes, I know you're a numbered card collector guy, so I imagine you have all kinds of interesting players. Peter's here. Adam, Charlie, when you say that you don't sell a lot of these players, Rhino, Will Clark, etc.? Is it because they aren't good sellers, or is it because you don't really have many for sale in your store? I think it's more the latter. I don't focus a lot on Rhino or Will Clark. I did get some 87 tops. When I buy these bulk deals like this, I'll see more of that. But if I go through a 50-cent box and there's Derek Jeter inserts in there and there's Will Clark inserts in there, I'm going to buy the Derek Jeter inserts. Will Clark, I'd probably want to get a little bit more price down. So if I bought some Will Clark stuff and Rhino stuff at the KI show a while ago when he was doing the 10-cent boxes, and I was getting them for like 5 cents. There were some decent Sandberg parallels and stuff in there. Randy Johnson too. Randy Johnson was never a good seller for me, but I've picked up a bunch of it in the last couple of months just because it came in a bunch of cheap stuff I was getting, and his stuff's been selling better. I think I just told you about that, where I sold a bunch of those smoke and heat inserts that I got for free.
Yeah.
Randy Johnson's. All of a sudden I sold one, and then another one, another one, another one. So yeah, you'll be surprised at some of the players that sell for sure.
Yeah, I think that's a really good question, and for me, I think the answer is a little bit of both. So I have probably 7 Rhino cards in my store right now. Don't sell a lot. I think I've sold 1 or 2 over the last year. But if I look at a numbers perspective, because that's what I do, last week, 622 Ryan Sandberg cards sold. That would put him ranked at about 43 on my list, wedged in between Ichiro and Jose Canseco.
Yeah, there you go. Yeah, I think it's the way I look at some of those players is those are ones that I'll build stock up over time. I'm not searching them out, but I'll get lots here or there. I'll buy out, a bulk deal, and there's cards in there. I'd rather seek out Ricky Henderson and, like the stuff that moves super well for me, and I stock bigger numbers of, and I'll kind of build on those guys as time goes on. I did the same thing with Steve Young. I never bought any Steve Young cards for the first couple of years, and kind of got a few trickled in. I got a couple deals on some inserts and stuff like that, and then started moving Steve Young, selling 10 cards at a time, stuff like that. So just unless you have a ginormous amount of capital and you can just run out and buy everything at once, you kind of have to put your focus on things and then take some of your profits and add on some of those players. So those players were just never big focuses of mine.
Yeah.
They're not super liquid.
So, and put that in perspective, there were about 30,000 baseball card sellers last week selling 90 Ryan Sandberg a day versus Shohei sold over 1,000 a day.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's not a current player, so they're not top of mind. They're not going to have a 5-hit game or a 3-home run game. There isn't anything to boost them up there.
Yeah.
So Max says top 5 in home run RBI this year. I think he's referring to Ozuna. And he plays for the Braves. He also plays for the Braves, so there's that. Braves have like a super huge following.
But he is a guy, well, a lot of people in the major leagues you can say this about, but he was a top prospect who hasn't quite lived up to the hype.
Sure. Apparently he's got good fantasy numbers, so that would make sense too to give him a boost. And I'm fine with that. I'm even the price I sold him at, it's not bad. Like there's so many of those cards printed and there's a ton of them listed.
Yeah.
And I didn't pay nothing for them really. So I'm happy to get those out. And in fact, I think I had one guy buy 2 or 3 of them at one time. So probably somebody who wants to get them graded quick and see if he can sell them while he's hot.
Another comparison is a guy like Jorge Soler. He's up in the top of home runs every year because all he does is hit a home run, strike out, or walk. But his cards don't move real well because he is he's a limited dimension player. you know.
Yeah, I mean, Ozuna last year he had 40 home runs and 100 RBIs and 84 runs. Those are okay, pretty good numbers.
Yeah. His
He's
bigger
got,
thing has been injuries, I think, over his career.
sure, which that happens with a lot of players.
Yeah.
Simon the Draw. Yeah, my name is Simon,
Hello,
and I like
my
to do
name
drawings.
is Simon.
Drawing.
Drawings. Was he always in the bathtub too when he was doing it?
Yes. Yep.
Yeah.
Remember when he would go to the playground, she would tie him off the
Yes.
playground, and he'd run and
Yeah, hit the end of it like a dog on a leash.
Yeah, and he had his name on his bike helmet.
Yeah.
Oh, so good. Probably couldn't do that skit anymore either. The reason I ask is it not a good seller, or do you just not have a lot of that player? I was shocked when I looked at my store and noticed I had like nothing Ripken or Griffey in there. That you would want to remedy. Those guys are super, super. I sell a ton of Ripken. Griffey sells really well for me now. Now that I've bulked up some numbers there. Nolan Ryan, like there's just some, Hall of Famers you have to stock. I mean, obviously Rhino was in the Hall of Fame too. But is Will Clark in the Hall of Fame? I don't think so.
I think he is.
Is he really?
I'll tell you in just a minute.
Was he good enough for that?
He was, actually.
Okay. I didn't remember him.
How dare you ask such a question?
Well, I know he was good. Like, I don't mean that. I'm like, dude, not everybody good should be in the Hall of Fame either. Otherwise, it's not a very exclusive club.
Actually, so I was wrong. He's not in the Baseball Hall of Fame.
Okay.
But
I didn't think so.
That is something I look at when I'm listing. Like, I'll verify if they're, because I put HOF for a feature on guys that are in the Hall of Fame. I'm surprised by how many athletes are in the Hall of Fames. Like, every day there's players I'm like, I didn't think they were in the Hall of Fame, and sure enough, they are.
Baseball isn't as bad as football. Football puts like everybody in the Hall of Fame.
And basketball,
that sport is bad.
Like, every popular player we watched as kids is in the Hall of Fame for basketball, I
swear. Yeah. Well, in basketball, it's easier, too. There's only 5 players on a team, You look at baseball, you got, what, is it 11?
Yeah.
And then football, you've got, like, 65 players. I don't know. It's ridiculous. You have so many.
So he's not in the Hall of Fame, but Will Clark was a 6-time All-Star, an NLCS MVP, a Gold Glove winner, a 2-time Silver Slugger Award winner, and the RBI leader in '88, a Golden Spikes Award. His number is retired with the Giants, and he is on the Giants Wall of Fame. And he was an Olympian.
Those all make sense to me. I mean, I understand, and like I said, I stock Will Clark.
Yeah.
But it's not okay. If I were to throw out to you 3 names, okay, Cal Ripken Jr., Ken Griffey Jr., and Will Clark, and I said, who do you think is the best card seller in the
Ken
market?
Griffey Jr.
Right. Who is number 2?
Cal Ripken Jr.
And who's number 3?
Well, Will Clark, because he's not a junior. That's the key. That's what I got out of that. Was that right?
He needed a dad with less creativity. But that's my point is, like I said, unless you can write a giant check and just go buy every baseball card you ever saw, you're gonna have to start. You guys are all building stores yet and building businesses. You have to get some Griffey in there. You got to get some Junior in there. You need to. Will Clark falls down the line. That's why you just don't see quite as much of it, or I don't anyway, because he's not the top player that I stock. Will I continue to add Will Clark? Yes. Will I add Ryan Sandberg? Yes. So I want to build all those players. Sandberg's in the Hall of Fame, so that's a no-brainer.
Which I don't get.
Yeah. Whatever. Killer rabbit, buddy.
Sandberg didn't even stand out to me when I was watching baseball as a kid.
Who's the best? And here I was thinking they just weren't good sellers. No, I don't think they're going to top, Otani sales and Nolan Ryan's, those aren't, that's not the type of player that a Will Clark is. There's definitely buyers for it. And there's Giants have a good fan base. His numbers retired with them. Like, you're going to be able to get those sales. So I don't know that I would like go online and try to find like a 500 card Will Clark lot. Um, you might be able to get it pretty cheap. So maybe it wouldn't be a bad play that way, but I don't know. There's other players that are way more liquid. So if you're looking for liquidity, you're not going to find it with Will Clark and Ryan Sandberg as you would with Cal Ripken Jr. and Ken Griffey Jr. That's sort of the point of the conversation.
Well said.
Yeah. Clark is a very, very popular hobby name. Yep. Now, I know Will Clark from a long time ago because the first cards I ever bought was a box of 1987 Topps baseball. They had boxes and boxes and boxes of them on the shelves at Shopko back in the day. And I had a Will Clark card that I pulled out of a pack, and I had it in like a little holder thing that stood up. It was a little like acrylic thing that had like a base to it, and he was in there as my featured, star rookie card. So like, dude, I get Will Clark. And I understand there's some hobby for him, but it's just not as big as some of the other names. I don't think anybody can argue that.
No.
Yeah, football and basketball has a lot of Hall of Famers. Yeah. Football gets kind of insane. I look at some of the names and I'm like, that guy's in the Hall of Fame. How can that be?
Right.
Baseball has some too, but it doesn't stand out as much as those other sports, I don't think. A lot of players that are popular in the collecting community are not Hall of Famers. Clark, Mattingly, Dale Murphy, Thurman Munson, etc. Yeah, for sure. And I sold all those players too. Dale Murphy's not in the Hall of Fame? That kind of surprised me. And Thurman,
Yeah, I was surprised Mattingly's not.
That doesn't surprise me. He didn't have a ton of accolades. Thurman Munson, I don't do much with Thurman Munson.
Well, his career was shortened, though.
Yeah, well, I don't care. I'm talking about selling cards.
I know. I'm just saying why he wouldn't be in the Hall of Fame necessarily.
Right. Nolan Ryan is by far a top seller in my store. Easy to pick up at LCS or shows. Next best, in my opinion, Ricky Henderson. Both those guys way up on my list. Yes.
Yeah, really good sellers.
Rhino was a power hitting second baseman in an area where second baseman just bunted a lot. There you go, Chuck. How about that?
He was also a red ass.
You got to admit he was a pretty darn good second baseman, though.
He was.
So some of those guys get in there for defense and not offense. Look at Ozzie Smith.
That's true. The Wizard.
Look at Mickey Mantle. That guy could never hit a baseball.
I suppose you're going to say not like Jeter anyway.
Well, no, definitely not like Jeter. Definitely not.
You know what I was learning about today was a little more about the stats of Lou Gehrig because, growing up, you always hear about him, his consecutive game streak that Cal broke and stuff like that. I did not realize just how much of a prolific hitter he was. He had like a 75-year record for the most Grand Slams. In his bad years, he hit, high numbers. So I was really impressed when I heard some of the numbers today.
I think it was hard with Gehrig because he died so young, obviously. Your legend kind of dies with you to some degree. Like, out of sight, out of mind. Our celebrities at that time, 30s and 40s, were baseball guys because they were on TV. They were basically movie stars, right? Now you can see everybody, and hell, people are watching us. I mean, that's crazy, right, as it is. But I feel like he had those great baseball years, and then boom, he was, his life was cut short, and I kind of just, people sort of forgot about him. And there were so many great Yankees, it's easy to get buried in that mix.
That is very true.
at that time. I mean, their teams were amazing, just stacked with, still to this day, some of the best players.
Yep. I mean, when you have rosters called Murderers Row, you're talking about some talent, right?
Yeah, and then big personalities, right? You had Mantle, you had Ruth, you had
Maggio.
You had Yogi Berra was, he was crazy with the stuff he would say, and
Yep.
list goes on and on and on. You had DiMaggio, I almost forgot about him and his antics. He likes celebrities as well.
One celebrity in particular.
One celebrity that made her way around. Murphy is like the main guy people whine about as far as what, like not being in the Hall of Fame or what? Yeah. Yeah, when you said that, it surprised me. I guess I never really looked. I don't do a lot of Dale Murphy. I have some cards of his, but it's not a name I chase. Mattingly had a short career derailed by injuries, otherwise he would be in. Yeah, I can actually remember Mattingly more as a coach than I can a player in my own head. Because I watched baseball when I was a kid. I don't watch anything now, but not full games anyway. But yeah, he was. Yeah, he didn't have a very long baseball career, like player.
I gotta say, shout out to Max talking about Will Clark. I find this a little surprising. He's absolutely right. It's a very popular hobby name. Looking at the sales numbers for Will Clark, do you know overall he outsells Rickey Henderson?
Really?
I would not have expected that. That is a new name I'm going to look for on my list.
Yeah, I guess I'm going to have to think about that one too.
Yeah, he just barely edges out Rickey.
Yeah, and I've sold some Will Clark, and I don't have a ton of it, so I can definitely say that sell through rate wise, it's been okay. Like I said, there's a bunch in these boxes, so that's one of the reasons I really like buying these boxes, because it gets me to buy stuff I don't normally buy, and then that's how I figure out, oh, this guy sells. I can go get some of this really cheap, and I play my basketball pretty hard that way, because that's the sport I really don't watch. Like, I don't watch any highlights. I don't do any of that. I mean, I know who Ja Morant is, and I know who LeBron James is, and Jason Tatum, and like I know those names that everybody throws out there, but there's a lot of really good like little side names that you kind of have to know in order to buy and sell them. So yeah, that's good. I guess I'll focus on some more Will Clark. It'll be interesting to see, because like I said, I have a bunch of his rookies and stuff in these boxes. They were in a 50-cent box. Who knew? 2-cent box in my case. But it'll be interesting to see how they do if they sell fast and things like that, and how much I want to add after that.
For sure.
While we were talking here, though, I just sold a 1996 Shazam prototype Donruss card with Shaq as the genie.
That's what I'm talking about. They're so fun.
Pretty dope, huh? Yeah, $5 I got for that card. It's the boombox with the kid sitting on it, and then he's like the genie coming out of the boombox.
Sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. Hot stuff. So I don't know if I ever told you this, but I went and saw the Beastie Boys a long time ago in Milwaukee, and Fu Schnickens opened for them. Do you remember Fu Schnickens?
I do remember the name, yep.
And I don't remember if it was it might have been the off season, because it was summer, so it would have been after the basketball season had done. But Shaq was there. Shaq came out on stage for a song with Fu Schnickens. Remember, he had a rap career for like 3 months. This was during that. This was like during that time, so he was probably like, "Well, I'll try to hit a couple of these shows, and I'll come out and do a rap, and see if I got a rap career ahead of me." And it was bad, like really bad. Fu Schnickens basically had to save him, because he was way off time, and huge. The guy was huge. Like the guys. I don't know how much you know about Fu Schnickens, but they're normal heighted dudes.
Yeah.
And Shaq came on. I was like, "Who the frick is the giant?" And they're like, "That's Shaquille O'Neal." And I'm like, "What?" Yeah, it was pretty crazy. That was such a great show. Beastie Boys were amazing. But glad I got to see them before Adam passed away. Rest in peace.
Yeah.
Will Clark retired early because he had a special needs kid. I did hear that. Props to him because that is way more important than baseball. Shopping for Will the Thrill lots as we speak. No, don't do that. This is what happens when you talk about your sneak plays. Everybody's gonna tune into this show now because they're gonna be like, we're gonna get those secrets out of them. I know it. I remember Mattingly more from The Simpsons. Mattingly shaved those sideburns. I remember that too. They actually made an action figure of him, a Simpsons Don Mattingly action figure, and it's awesome. Yes. He's got like sideburns like down to here. It's great. Will Clark and George Brett both have huge collector bases. Lower number of parallels of these guys pre-COVID were not. Some would go higher than bigger name players. Yeah, I definitely do more George Brett than Will Clark. I find more George Brett, to be fair. I find more George Brett too, though. Especially parallels, like a lot of those Donruss foils and die cut cards and tops inserts. I see way more George Brett than Will Clark. I don't see a ton of Will Clark even in boxes, to be honest with you.
I gotta say, I'm distracted right now because I'm 90% certain I have some Will Clark in my dime boxes that I want to go fish out now.
Yeah, probably do. Probably do. We're just about ready to tie this up anyway. Or a few collectors willing to pay up, I suppose. There's always collectors willing to pay up. They don't see it as paying up. They're just collecting. If you're not collecting based on dollar value, it really doesn't matter what you pay, as long as you have the money, of course. I agree, Max. A lot of people crap on Panini Baseball, but parallels of those types of players sell well. I'm glad you mentioned that because I agree. I saw a ton. Actually, I just had an Optic Green. Trying to think of who the player was now. Just sell right now an Optic Green diamonds of what's that insert set called in Donruss? It's been around forever. They had it in like 1980s Donruss products.
Oh, diamond something you're saying?
Greats of the Diamond. Yeah, I don't know why it just eludes me right now. Heroes of the Diamond. Totally blanking on it. I guess I could go look at my sale thing here. Somebody else is probably shouting it out in the chat. Diamond Kings. Thank you. Card Hobbyist got it out there. Just sold a green Diamond Kings, unlicensed card, but great insert set that's been around forever. I buy Diamond Kings all the time. I buy Gridiron Kings. I've talked about that in other shows I've done. I always buy Gridiron Kings, Donruss inserts and boxes. There's just a big collector base for those cards. So, but yeah, I think unlicensed matters less in baseball almost than anything else. I saw a ton of like Prism parallels and Mosaic parallels, and I think maybe to some degree, Topps doesn't do as many parallels, and that might be why some of those unlicensed products do a little, some decent business.
Are you thinking of Diamond Kings?
Yeah, Diamond Kings. We already said that.
Well, I got distracted because as I went to look at it, my laptop got hit with something.
Oh.
Yeah.
Well, that's not. Yeah, I just sold a Chris Bryant Diamond Kings Lime Green Hollow. Unlicensed parallel for $2.99. And it's Chris Bryant. Who cares about Chris Bryant now?
Yeah.
But Diamond Kings, man, that stuff is awesome. That might even be one I pulled out of a pack, I know. And then I just sold a Diamond Kings. Oh, no. I just sold a Sports Illustrated for Kids, ironically enough, talked about that earlier. WNBA Angel McCautry card for $2.99 also. It was just sold in the last 2 minutes. So sales is very good tonight.
Very nice.
Yeah. And all those Sports Illustrated for Kids cards I got super cheap too. You just buy them in these huge lots. You don't even know who. Hell, I sold a Shamu card yesterday. Sold the whale.
Another one? I feel like you've sold those more than once.
No, that's the only one I've had. I just sold it. I've actually had that card for a while. That came with all the other like animal and mascot sports cards, you know, and I sold that water skiing squirrel. That's got to be over a year ago now.
Yeah.
So. But I kept the prices up on those. I'm not dropping the prices on those. Find another Shamu card. You know, somebody wants it, they're gonna pay for it. So thin little paper cards that take up no room. I get, you know, now you got to pay up for them a bit. I think cat's out of the bag on the Sports Illustrated for Kids. Probably talked about them too much, but I used to get lots for, you know, penny, 2 pennies a card, and there was like Kobe's in there, and you know, like rookies of, you know, alternative sports stuff and Tony Hawk cards, and like, dude, you could just kill on those.
Right.
Not quite as easy now, but yeah, a lot of that stuff. I mean, some of it I still have too. So now with the sales that I just got during the show tonight, now this is my best sales day in the past 26 days. So it goes in cycles, not by a ton, but like $30 or so for the day, more than that other day. So today I have $524.26 in sales.
Yeah, I had my best day in quite some time.
And that's a pretty good day for me. What's that?
I had my best day in quite some time as well. I mean, looking at the chart going back a month, and today is the highest day in the last month, if not further. Not your kind of numbers, but still.
Right. Yeah, I wouldn't think you want to. You can't compare one store to another unless they're of somewhat equal size. You know, you're never gonna. I guess if you take the percentage down, you can figure out, you know, where you're at. But you're gonna have a day in there where you just don't have a lot of sales. It just happens. So
yeah.
But you didn't lose anything either. You still have the cards. So fight for the next day. Throw some coupons out there. Do some discounts. Message your customers. You know, then you just got to dig in a little bit and go find some of that business. And keep listing. You have to list.
Listing and shipping and listing.
Shipping and listing. Yep, they never go away. That's the heart of the business for sure. All right, I think we can hang it up here. We're at about 2.5 hours. Does it sound good to you?
Yeah, I think
We're
so.
Good. Caught up in the chat and everything. So yeah, that's it. We didn't really cover a ton of our topics tonight. I think next week we'll talk a little bit about the National, just kind of some of our plans and what we're looking for. I know we talked about it a little bit here and there the past few weeks, but maybe make that a little bit more of a focus as that's getting closer. What was the other topic tonight that we were going to talk about? I'm drawing a blank now. It was going to be, and I didn't put it in my notes. Normally I put it in my YouTube notes and I didn't see it. So
you sent it to me. Let's
I did, yeah. I did, yeah. And I think that's why I had sent it late, so I never added it.
Coupons and promotions.
Yeah.
And our table buyout and strategy.
Which we did cover, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so yeah, maybe we'll touch on some couponing strategies. We did talk about that stuff a little bit. So we kind of talk about everything a little bit each week.
Yeah.
Nothing gets unturned. The other main topic next week is Mike Myers. So we'll put him back on the list. Mike Myers and Mike Myers.
Best topic.
You guys have an assignment. If you haven't seen Love Guru, go watch it because it is freaking hilarious. It's one of my top 10 movies of all time. And that's saying something. That's saying something because I got a pretty good list of movies. All right. That's it for this week. Thanks again so much for watching. Please like this video if you enjoyed it. Share it with someone else who you think might like to watch it. Those who are watching recorded, thank you so much. Try to join us live if you can. It's a lot of fun with the chat. It's real active. We have a good time. We're live at 8 o'clock Central Standard Time every Wednesday night. Me and JC3 Cards and Collectibles. Make sure you subscribe to Charlie's YouTube channel. He's got some great data videos, some good stuff, good information that can help all of us. And I think that's it for this week.
Sounds
good. Anything you want to add, Charlie?
just peace out. Take care of each other.
Remember, you can't sell what you don't list. You all next week.